Chapter 1679. 9 ferocious and domineering black dragons appear beside him, accompanied by a powerful draconic might. That terrifying power caused the surroundings to fall into silence. Zhao Fu gripped the sadistic killing sword, and the 9 black dragons around him flowed into the sadistic killing sword. The blood-red sadistic killing sword became black, and dragon inscriptions appeared on it. It gave off an extremely powerful sword light, causing the space around it to twist. Boom! The 3-headed ogre raised his club and heavily smashed it down. The 3 terrifying wolves gave off shocking auras as they rushed at Zhao Fu, seeming to be able to destroy everything. Xing! Zhao Fu also slashed out, causing 9 massive black dragons to flood out, giving off terrifying auras and terrifying power as they rushed towards the 3-headed ogre. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out, echoing through the world. The 2 extremely terrifying powers collided, and a terrifying destructive power instantly spread out. The ground was lifted up layer by layer before shattering into countless pieces, and everything within it was reduced to dust. Terrifying shock waves blasted out, causing countless trees to be uprooted and boulders to be blown into the sky. Sand and dust flew everywhere. Sensing these shocking shock waves, the countless people in the surroundings looked delighted and expectant, as it was another intense battle between 2 geniuses. It was possible that the person who had continuously challenged 3 geniuses would challenge the 4th genius. When everyone arrived, they saw that mysterious person and the 7th-ranked 3-headed ogre fighting intensely. It's him! Everyone could not help but feel delighted. They had great expectations for Zhao Fu and wanted to see just how many geniuses he could challenge and how far he could go. What Zhao Fu was doing was something that countless people wanted to do but had no hope of succeeding. However, Zhao Fu had succeeded, and this made Zhao Fu a figure of worship in everyone's hearts. He was someone who encouraged them. Xing! An enormous sword light flew out, bringing with it an enormous storm of sword chi as the 3-headed ogre slashed out. The ogre gripped his mace with both hands and swung it with all his might. A massive force, along with a ferocious gale, smashed toward Zhao Fu. Bang! The 2 waves of power clashed together, turning into an even more terrifying storm that blasted out in all directions. At that moment, the 3-headed ogre opened its mouth, and countless rays of green light shot out. 3 powerful rays of green light containing terrifying power streaked through the air and shot toward Zhao Fu. The cross-shaped pupil in Zhao Fu's left eye continuously spun as countless traces of ghostly chi flowed out from behind him, turning into 3 gusts of air that gave off cold and powerful power as they rushed towards the 3-headed ogre, incredibly ferociously. Bang! 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 3 massive explosions sounded out as 3 rays of light and 3 streams of ghostly chi collided. Boundless ghostly chi and cold light shot out in all directions, creating a shocking scene. Clang! Zhao Fu once again rushed at the 3-headed ogre and slashed out with his sword, sending out a ray of sword light towards the 3-headed ogre's throat. The 3-headed ogre used his mace to block and blocked Zhao Fu's attack before raising his leg and kicking towards Zhao Fu with immense power. Zhao Fu dodged to the side, avoiding this kick, and he once again slashed towards the 3-headed ogre. The 3-headed ogre once again blocked with his mace before clenching his fists and punching out, sending a terrifying fist energy toward Zhao Fu. At that moment, Zhao Fu also clenched his fists and punched out, sending out a terrifying fist energy. Bang! The 2 fists collided, resulting in an explosion, and both of them were forced back a few steps. Arg! The 3-headed ogre roared as a powerful aura exploded out, causing a wild gale to blow. A terrifying power flowed out and entered the mace, causing it to give off an incredibly dangerous aura. Bang! 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 The 3-headed ogre continuously swung his mace, sending out massive afterimages that seemed to cover the sky. They gave off immense destructive power as they continuously smashed towards Zhao Fu, causing massive sounds to ring out. Zhao Fu's expression was serious as he continuously slashed out sword light to block. The power of the afterimages was simply too great, causing Zhao Fu's body to continuously retreat. The web between his thumb and index finger had already split open, and he felt a wave of pain on the back of his hand. Bang! Another massive afterimage smashed towards him, and Zhao Fu blocked with his sword. Even though he had blocked this attack, Zhao Fu's body was sent flying backwards. Bang! 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 Just as Zhao Fu stopped himself, the three-headed ogre once again rushed up, sending out massive afterimages of his mace towards Zhao Fu with terrifying power. Facing the incoming three-headed ogre, Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and took out the death disaster sword. Two massive waves of power entered the two swords, causing them to give off intense sword light and powerful sword chi to spread out, creating a sword chi storm. Shing! A sword hum sounded out as Zhao Fu joined the two swords together, forming a 10 or so meter long sword of light. A terrifying sword energy flowed out, causing the surrounding space to twist. Boom! Facing the incoming afterimages, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out a massive sword light with terrifying power. It seemed to be able to tear open space, causing small spatial cracks to appear. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the terrifying cudgel images that filled the sky were shattered by the sword strike, turning into afterimages and dissipating. The three-headed ogre was also sent flying. Art! The three-headed ogre roared as he once again rushed over. The mace in his hand gave off an intense green light, and he vigorously swung it, causing a massive green wolf to howl and give off a ferocious aura as it leapt at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gripped the sword of light with both hands and fearlessly rushed at the massive wolf. The distance between the two of them quickly closed, and the wolf opened its mouth and savagely bit toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out a terrifying sword light that split the wolf in half from head to tail, causing it to turn into countless traces of green aura and disappear. The three-headed ogre's expression was quite unsightly as he continuously swung his mace, causing terrifying power to spread out. Savage wolves gave off powerful auras as they rushed at Zhao Fu. Bang! 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 Massive sounds rang out as Zhao Fu rushed up and slashed out, sending out a powerful sword energy that slashed apart one of the wolves. He then stabbed out, sending out a sharp sword light that pierced through another wolf's body. He then vigorously slashed out, sending out a terrifying sword light that split the wolf in half. Seeing Zhao Fu continuously attacking, the three-headed ogre hardened his heart and exploded out with a powerful aura. He gripped his mace with both hands and continuously spun it. Boom! 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 Chapter 1680. Rumble. This ridiculously powerful tornado seemed to stir up the heavens and earth, resulting in a massive explosion and giving off a destructive pressure. The ground continuously cracked, and the surrounding space was unable to withstand this power and continued to crack. What was even more terrifying was that the tornado produced an extremely shocking power. The surrounding trees, ground, and rocks were all sucked into the tornado, and in an instant, they were turned into dust and disappeared. The people in the surroundings and on the viewing platforms felt quite shocked, seeing that the tornado seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and earth. Who could stop it? It seemed that this ogre had greatly improved and was even more powerful than before. Now, facing this apocalyptic power, how would that mysterious person deal with it? Everyone's gazes fell on Zhao Fu. They wanted to see what Zhao Fu would do next. If he could not block this attack, the one who would lose would definitely be Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu raised the sword of light with both hands and pointed it towards the sky. He ignited his divine bloodline, and a terrifying wave of power exploded out, entering the sword of light. The sword of light exploded out with a supreme sword chi that instantly spread out, tearing apart the surrounding space. A gray and blood-red sword light shot into the sky, and heaven and earth power madly gathered, forming a massive vortex in the sky that absorbed massive amounts of heaven and earth power. The sword of light that was only 10 or so meters long instantly became a 1,000-meter-long sword of light and gave off a world-shaking aura. Rumble. The terrifying tornado gave off destructive power as it rushed towards Zhao Fu's side, seeming to be completely unstoppable. Facing the incoming tornado, Zhao Fu's expression was serious as he gripped the sword of light with both hands and slashed down with all of his strength. Boom! An incredibly massive sword light containing world-destroying power slashed out, bringing with it a boundless sword wind as it slammed into the massive tornado, resulting in a shocking explosion. The sword light gave off a power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything, while the tornado gave off power that seemed to be able to destroy everything. The two of them clashed, causing shocking shockwaves to ripple out as terrifying gales swept out in all directions. Bang! In the end, the sword light was victorious. It split apart the massive tornado, causing it to dissipate into countless wild gusts of wind. The ogre at the center was sent flying by the sword energy, crashing into a large mountain with blood all over his body. No one knew if he was dead or alive. Zhao Fu gave off a transcendent aura as he stood in the air, holding a sword in each hand. The 1,000-meter-long sword of light had already disappeared. He won. Countless people shouted excitedly. They had witnessed Zhao Fu successfully challenge a genius, and they were also very excited, their blood surging. Now he was the fourth. There were still 6 of the top 10 geniuses left. They didn't know how many more steps Zhao Fu could take, but he definitely wouldn't disappoint them. Also, where did this mysterious person come from? Countless people were curious about this matter. Someone said in admiration, "It would be great if I had such great power. I also want to challenge geniuses and shake the Outlander domain with my might. I want to stand above everyone and feel countless people's gazes of respect and worship." Suddenly, an astonished voice sounded. "The rankings haven't changed. That ogre hasn't lost yet." Boom! Just as that voice sounded out, an unimaginably powerful aura exploded out, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts as the mountain was instantly devoured by a ray of green light and disappeared. At the center, a figure appeared. It was that ogre. However, his appearance had greatly changed. 3 of his heads had grown horns, and his face was even more hideous and savage. The fangs in his mouth were even larger than before, and his hands were like sharp claws. He also had a tail. "It's heaven-devouring." Seeing the ogre's appearance, everyone cried out. Heaven-devouring was the Ogre Empire's most powerful technique, and even within the Ogre Empire, very few people could use it. Almost all of them had Emperor Heaven Realm cultivation, and seeing a World Realm Ogre use it, many people were shocked. The ogre's dark green eyes looked at Zhao Fu, and he grabbed out with his hand, causing a massive wave of power to gather in his hand and form a green energy orb. Bang! The ogre vigorously swung out, causing the green energy orb to fly out and quickly become larger. It became a 100-meter-wide green orb of light and gave off a powerful aura as it smashed towards Zhao Fu. Facing the incoming orb of light, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a blood-red sword light containing terrifying power slashed towards the green orb of light. However, something shocking happened. When the sword light slashed towards the green orb of light, it was instantly absorbed by the green orb of light and was not affected at all. The green orb of light continued to give off a powerful aura as it flew toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was given a big fright and quickly dodged to the side. Boom! The green orb of light hit where Zhao Fu had been standing and exploded out with boundless green light. A massive explosion sounded out as the surrounding space disappeared and a circular black hole appeared, making it seem as if space was missing a piece. Seeing this power, Zhao Fu felt quite shocked. This power was quite terrifying and seemed to be able to devour space. Bang! Suddenly, the ogre appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and its hand gave off a terrifying green light as it grabbed towards Zhao Fu, resulting in a massive explosion. Zhao Fu was given a big fright and hurriedly unleashed a defensive barrier. However, he was sent flying by that power and heavily crashed into the ground, opening up a large crater. The ogre stood in the air and looked quite condescending as he said, "You're not a match for me at all. I should thank you for helping me comprehend heaven devouring. Now, scram, and you can keep your life." Zhao Fu's expression was cold as he said mockingly, "Is that so? Then let me see heaven devouring's power and see if it can devour me." "Humph, as you wish." The ogre coldly harumphed, and his body exploded out with intense light, forming a 1,000-meter wide green orb of light. It looked like a green sun, and the ogre stood at the center like a godly spirit. Boom! The green sun exploded out with an intense green light that illuminated the heavens and earth, and a terrifying devouring power spread out. The mountains, trees, ground, rocks, and rivers seemed to be devoured, and the sky seemed to turn into nothingness and fall into darkness. It was as if the entire world was being devoured by the green sun. The countless people on the viewing platforms looked incredibly shocked. This was the first time many of them had seen heaven devouring's power. It was so terrifying that they could not even imagine how easily it could devour the heavens and earth. No wonder it was called heaven devouring. After being hit by the green light, Zhao Fu felt an incredibly powerful power ferociously devouring him. However, Zhao Fu did not feel much fear. His eyes gradually became blood red, and his pupils became rose-like, giving off a trace of evilness, devilishness, and darkness. Chapter 1681. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu lay on the ground with blood leaking out of his eyes. The sky was covered by a layer of black and blood-red starlight, and the starlight condensed into a pillar of starlight that landed on Zhao Fu's body, causing an extremely terrifying power to explode out. The ground trembled violently, and countless pale white tendrils shot out of the ground. The ground seemed to shatter, and everything was filled with those pale white tendrils. After the roots shot out, they brought with them a shocking aura as they surged towards the sky. It was as if they could cover the sky, and they were unstoppable. The three-headed ogre was given a big fright and roared, and the green sun gave off an even more intense green light as a terrifying devouring power spread out. Everything was once again turned into nothingness, creating a terrifying scene. However, the countless roots that had shot out of the ground showed no fear at all and continued to shoot towards the three-headed ogre with ferocious power. Bang! A shocking explosion once again sounded out as the two terrifying powers collided. A terrifying shockwave rippled out, uprooting countless trees and blowing boulders into the sky. Even the people standing on the outskirts were affected by the shockwave and quickly retreated. Bang! Bang! Massive explosions sounded out as something shocking happened. The green light that seemed to be able to devour everything was unable to devour the roots, and the pale white roots seemed to have devouring power as they devoured the green light and shot towards the three-headed ogre even more ferociously. The ogre's expression fell, and it wanted to release an even more intense light. However, countless tendrils shot out of the green ball of light with immense power towards it. The ogre had no choice but to retreat, or else it would die here. Countless people stared at this scene in shock. Just what were these roots? They were so terrifying that even the devouring heaven and earth-devouring heaven could not devour them, and they were instead devoured by the roots. Looking at the densely packed roots, everyone felt quite terrified. Moreover, the starlight in the sky gave off an extremely powerful demonic energy, and it was something that only the demon race's stars could have. Just who was Zhao Fu? Now, everyone was even more curious about Zhao Fu's identity, because he had previously released the terrifying power of the Ghost Clan, and now he had also released the terrifying power of the Demon Clan, causing Zhao Fu to become even more mysterious. Now that everyone had seen the ogre retreat, They confirmed that Zhao Fu had once again won and successfully challenged the fourth-ranked genius. Countless people had happy smiles on their faces. The excitement from before had yet to fade, and this battle did not disappoint them. It was another exciting and hot-blooded battle. There were no tricks, only strength. A showdown. Now, Zhao Fu also had a group of supporters. Although they knew that Zhao Fu was a bit dissolute, with a strong charm, he still convinced many people. The starlight in the sky disappeared, and the countless tendrils disappeared. The world once again returned to normal, and this time, Zhao Fu had not received any heavy injuries. He found a place to recover his strength and prepare to fight his next opponent. After defeating the ogre, Zhao Fu obtained another 1/3 of his points, causing his ranking to rise by another 2 places. More Outlander fate fused into his body, and his chances of awakening the Emperor's Star became greater. Outside the secret realm door, the ogre retreated, covered with blood. Gudu, who was outside recovering, smiled because he had already guessed that the ogre had been defeated by that person. Seeing Gudu smile, the ogre said unhappily, "What's there to be happy about? Didn't you also lose to that brat?" Gudu said mockingly, "The key is that your ranking is higher than mine. Since you lost, I naturally have nothing to say. Also, your strength is only SOSO, and you also lost to that brat." The ogre coldly harumphed. "Even so, I'm still stronger than you. Also, that brat's power is unfathomable, and he might be hiding some terrifying power. This time, I wholeheartedly accept my loss and do not feel any resentment." Gudu felt quite surprised and asked seriously, "Did he explode out with some power to defeat you?" The ogre coldly laughed. "Why would I tell you? If you have the ability, go and try again and see how much of his power you can unleash." Gudu looked quite displeased and felt quite shocked. Just how much more terrifying power was that mysterious person hiding? A day later, Zhao Fu had fully recovered, and he found his next opponent, the 6th-ranked lion person, Medeo. The difficulty of challenging him was greatly increased, as the lion person's cultivation was at the divine realm, which was not something that heaven and earth realm cultivators could compare to. The lion person also held a spear and waited for Zhao Fu to arrive according to the guidance of some sort of power. At that moment, the lion person's sharp, white eyes fell on Zhao Fu's body as he said, "It's already a miracle that you've come this far. However, you'll die here. I won't lose to you. Also, your cultivation is too low." Zhao Fu calmly replied, "Is that so? Let's compete and we'll know." The lion person gave a trace of a cold smile as he said, "That's just what I wanted. I want to see what's special about you and whether or not you're worth my attention." Boom! A powerful aura exploded out, sending out gales as the lion person held his spear and started to attack Zhao Fu. The lion person turned into a ray of light and rushed in front of Zhao Fu, his spear giving off a white light as he stabbed towards Zhao Fu, causing the air to explode. Zhao Fu took out the sadistic killing sword and slashed out with a sword light, knocking the spear off course. The lion person then put the spear away and vigorously stabbed out again, sending out a spear light towards Zhao Fu's throat. Zhao Fu once again slashed out, knocking the spear off course. The lion person spun and stabbed out with his spear, sending out a sharp arc of light towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's heart tightened, and he blocked with his sword. Bang! Zhao Fu felt a massive force hit him, and his body slid back 10 or so meters before stopping. The lion person instantly caught up to Zhao Fu and stabbed out with his spear like a bolt of lightning. Facing this attack, Zhao Fu immediately unleashed a defensive barrier. The lion person coldly laughed and sent a powerful wave of power into the spear, causing it to give off an intense white light as the lion person vigorously stabbed out. Bang! A powerful white light stabbed out, slamming into Zhao Fu's defensive barrier with terrifying power. The defensive barrier directly shattered, and Zhao Fu's body flew back. He crashed to the ground, a trace of blood leaking out of his lips. Chapter 1682. The people on the viewing platforms understood how difficult this battle would be, and it was possible that Zhao Fu would be stopped here. After all, the lion person was simply too powerful. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu exploded out with a terrifying aura. A black aura flame appeared around his body as he used his full strength. Boom! The lion person gave a cold smile and also exploded out with a powerful aura. A white aura flame appeared around his body, and a terrifying power spread out. The two of them gave off powerful auras as they rushed at each other. The lion person held his spear and quickly stabbed toward Zhao Fu, sending out sharp spear lights, while Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out terrifying sword lights, destroying the incoming spear lights. Bang! 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 Massive sounds rang out as the sword light and spear light continuously clashed, creating shockwaves that turned into wild gales that blew out. The lion person looked at Zhao Fu condescendingly. He now knew how strong Zhao Fu was, and even though he was quite powerful, he had the advantage in terms of cultivation and could easily deal with Zhao Fu. Before, he had overestimated Zhao Fu. Bang! 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 The lion person gave a condescending smile as he gripped his spear with both hands and stabbed out even faster, sending out sharp white spear lights toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu continuously slashed out with his sword, sending out blood-red sword lights that destroyed the incoming spear lights. However, facing such ferocious attacks, Zhao Fu continuously retreated, and he was completely suppressed by the lion person. Art. A trace of anger appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he roared and exploded out with all of his power. An even greater black aura flame flowed out, covering the surrounding 10 meters, including the lion person. At the same time, Zhao Fu's strength increased by many times. Xing! Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out a massive blood-red sword light that gave off terrifying power, slashing the incoming spear lights into motes of light and causing them to disappear. The lion person was forced back a few steps by this attack, and his expression became cold as he also exploded out with a terrifying aura. The white aura flame around his body was even larger than Zhao Fu's, and he vigorously stabbed out with his spear, sending out a powerful white ray of light that tore through the air. Bang! Facing this spear, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out a terrifying sword light that slammed into the incoming white ray of light. A massive explosion sounded out, and a terrifying energy blasted out, forcing Zhao Fu back a few steps. Roar! A roar suddenly sounded out as the aura flame behind the lion person condensed into a massive white lion. The lion person stabbed out with his spear and gave off a powerful aura as it rushed toward Zhao Fu. Roar! Zhao Fu immediately sent large amounts of power into the sadistic killing sword, causing it to seem to be dyed black. He vigorously slashed out, and a savage black dragon gave off terrifying destructive power as it rushed towards the massive white lion. Bang! The white lion gave off countless rays of white light as it clashed with the black dragon, giving off intense black light, resulting in a massive explosion. A terrifying power blasted out, causing the ground to collapse. Rocks flew everywhere and dust rose up. Both of them were hit by that terrifying power, and the white lion person was forced back 5 or 6 steps, while Zhao Fu flew back 10 or so meters before crashing to the ground and coughing up a large mouthful of blood. Seeing this, the people on the viewing platforms felt quite disappointed. From the start of the battle until now, that mysterious person had been suppressed by the lion person and had not been able to retaliate at all. It was possible that he was not a match for this lion person. After all, the difference in cultivation was simply too great. The lion person had a great advantage, and if that mysterious person had world realm power, he might have been able to put up a fight. However, he only had harmony realm cultivation. Just as everyone had expected, that mysterious person would be stopped at the hands of the 6th rank person. At first, they had held a trace of hope, but now that they had personally seen it, they felt quite disappointed. Many people had hoped that Zhao Fu would be able to challenge the top 3, but it seemed that this was not possible. Back at the battlefield, the lion person held a spear and gave off an enormous aura flame as he once again rushed at Zhao Fu and coldly laughed as he said, "With your current strength, you're still a bit too weak against me. It's best if you admit defeat and don't suffer too much." Zhao Fu got up from the ground and wiped away the blood at his lips. The lion person was right. The difference between Harmony Realm cultivation and Divine Realm cultivation was simply too great, and it was very difficult to make up for this difference. Facing the lion person's words, Zhao Fu put away the sadistic killing sword and said seriously, "You have the right to make me use my full strength." Hearing Zhao Fu's words, the people on the viewing platforms looked quite confused. Hadn't that been his full strength just then? However, the power that Zhao Fu had exploded out with was already terrifying enough. Was that his full strength? Just how powerful was Zhao Fu? Moreover, his cultivation was only at the Harmony Realm, and he did not seem to be hiding his cultivation. What kind of power did he have? Was he boasting and acting cool? Or was he hiding some terrifying power? The lion person laughed. He did not believe that Zhao Fu had any more power. With his Divine Realm cultivation, he could completely suppress Zhao Fu. Now was the time to teach Zhao Fu a lesson and show Zhao Fu how high the heavens were. Roar! The white aura flame around the lion person's body once again condensed into a massive white lion that gave off a terrifying aura. The lion person gave off a monstrous aura as it rushed at Zhao Fu like a ferocious beast, causing anyone to feel fear. Zhao Fu was expressionless as he grabbed at the air, and a black and red sword giving off a simple and ancient aura appeared in Zhao Fu's hand. "Sword Master!" Zhao Fu lightly cried out as a massive wave of sword chi exploded out from the sword, creating a terrifying sword chi storm that swept out. The ground, trees, and rocks were all left with gashes, causing people's hairs to stand on end. It was incredibly dangerous, and even the heavens and earth felt a chill. Sensing this terrifying sword chi, the lion person looked quite startled, and Zhao Fu slashed out. Shing! An extremely sharp sword light instantly slashed out, slicing through the air as if it had split the air into two. All the trees and boulders within a radius of several thousand meters were cut in half, and the cut was as smooth as a mirror. Bang! The lion person was sent flying back and only stopped after crashing into a large tree, and a trace of blood leaked out of his mouth. His face was filled with anger. The people on the viewing platforms were also quite shocked as they looked at Zhao Fu's sword strike. It was incredibly terrifying. Was this his true power? If it was, then it was even more powerful than before. At the same time, some people sensed that the sword in Zhao Fu's hand was not simple at all, and it contained unimaginably terrifying power. Chapter 1684. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a formless sword intent flew out, seeming to split space in half. A massive crack appeared, and the two incoming spears of light were cut in half, turning into motes of light and dissipating. After slashing apart the two spears of light, Zhao Fu continued to rush at the lion person. The lion person's expression was cold as he raised a hand, and an even greater amount of heaven and earth power gathered, forming a suction force that caused the lion person's hand to descend. Boom, 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 boom. 5 1,000-meter-long white spears of light containing terrifying power shot out from the sky incredibly quickly. They were like 5 rays of light, leaving behind 5 traces as they shot toward Zhao Fu. Bang! The 5 spears did not give Zhao Fu any time to react and slammed into the ground, causing a terrifying shockwave to ripple out, destroying everything and causing the ground to violently tremble. The spectators could not help but gulp. Seeing the lion person's terrifying power, their bodies uncontrollably trembled. Was that mysterious person still alive? Ordinary people would have been blasted to bits. Shing! A sword hum suddenly sounded out as a black sword light shot into the sky, slashing the 5 white spears of light into countless motes of light and causing them to dissipate. The black sword light shot into the sky, and heaven and earth power madly gathered, forming an enormous black vortex that gave off a terrifying might. A black and blood-red magic formation appeared in the sky, giving off boundless black and blood-red light. A heaven-piercing sword intent instantly descended from the magic formation, inundating everything. Under that sword intent, everything was reduced to nothingness, unable to resist at all. The lion person felt quite startled, and his expression became quite unsightly. Sensing this terrifying power, he roared and raised his hands, causing a terrifying white aura flame to rush into the sky, and heaven and earth power madly gathered in the sky. The spear absorbed countless traces of heaven and earth power and gave off intense white light that covered the sky. 1,000-meter-long spears of light appeared, and there were 100 or so of them. They gave off incredibly sharp auras, as if they could pierce through everything, and gave off an aura of death. Now, half of the sky was white and filled with sharp spear lights, while the other half was black and filled with sharp sword intents. The two intensely clashed, giving off terrifying ripples. Within the crater in the ground, Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killer with a cold gaze. The black and blood-red magic formation in the sky slowly spun, and an aura of annihilation flowed out as Zhao Fu's sword descended. Boom, boom, boom. Deafening explosions resounded in the sky. Within the black and blood-red spell formation, rays of blood-red sword light suddenly shot down, seeming to slice the world into pieces. The space was like a shattered mirror. When the sword light landed on the ground, the terrifying power caused the ground to shatter. Boom, boom, boom. The lion person controlled the 101,000-meter-long spears of light in the sky and aimed them at Zhao Fu. They then gave off terrifying piercing power as they shot out, leaving behind white traces as if they could pierce through the heavens and earth. Bang! A heaven-shaking explosion sounded out, and the world seemed like it was going to split apart. The two attacks collided, resulting in a terrifying explosion. Everything within 1,000 miles was instantly turned into nothingness, and a terrifying shockwave spread out like a bolt of lightning. The ground collapsed layer by layer as countless boulders and trees were turned to dust. Sand covered the sky, and the heavens and earth violently trembled as if they were about to be destroyed. Traces of aura that could cause people to feel despair rose up from the ground. After everything settled, a 100,000-meter-wide crater appeared in the ground, giving off traces of terrifying aura that could cause people to feel despair. There were no signs of life in the surroundings, as if everything had been wiped out. Everyone looked shocked as they looked at the crater, wanting to know the outcome of the battle. Boom! A terrifying aura flooded out as countless rays of white light shot into the sky. A massive might pressed down as a 10,000-meter-long white lion appeared in front of everyone. The aura it gave off was that of the lion person from before. However, this lion had many wounds on its body and blood flowed out, making it look quite wretched. Cough, cough. On a pile of rubble, Zhao Fu lightly coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood and got up from the ground. There were a few bloody wounds on his body, and he did not seem to be in a good state. Roar! The 10,000-meter-long white lion furiously roared and opened its mouth, causing countless rays of white light to spread out as an extremely dangerous aura spread out. Boom! A massive white ray of light shot out from the lion's mouth, giving off world-destroying power. It was incredibly fast and blasted through space, resulting in a massive explosion as countless spatial cracks appeared. Zhao Fu quickly dodged to the side, and the massive white ray of light hit where Zhao Fu had been standing, resulting in a massive explosion. Rubble flew everywhere, and dust rose up as a 10,000-meter-wide crater appeared. Boom! A massive, ghostly flame burst forth from Zhao Fu's body, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet as an eerie gale spread out. The cross-shaped pupil and 6 gray dots in Zhao Fu's right eye continuously spun as a transcendent ghostly power spread out. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and grabbed at the white lion. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of chains rang out throughout the sky as 2-meter-wide chains shot out from the ground. Each of them gave off ferocious power as they shot towards the white lion, and there were at least hundreds of thousands of them. The white lion was given a big fright and swung its claws, sending out waves of energy to shatter the incoming chains. However, there were simply too many chains, and in the end, the 10,000-meter-long white lion was bound up by countless chains. However, the white lion's strength was still incomparably terrifying. It continued to struggle, breaking the chains one after another. Zhao Fu's expression was cold as he once again raised his sword, and a black and blood-red sword light shot into the sky. Heaven and earth power once again madly gathered as a black magic formation appeared in the sky, giving off an all-destroying sword intent. Boom, boom, boom. Terrifying sword lights containing destructive power slashed against the white lion's body, causing blood to spurt everywhere like a rain of blood. The lion continuously howled in pain before disappearing. It was the lion person who had chosen to leave the secret realm. If he had not done so, it was possible that he would have died under Zhao Fu's heavenly punishment sword formation. We won. Countless people excitedly cried out, and the surroundings were filled with joy. They were all people who supported Zhao Fu. Before, many people had said that Zhao Fu would stop at the 6th rank place, and he would not be able to advance any further. Now, Zhao Fu had used his strength to defeat the 6th rank place and successfully challenged the top geniuses. Chapter 1685. After recovering for a day, Zhao Fu went to find his next opponent. Unexpectedly, Zhao Fu encountered 2 geniuses. One of them was the 4th-ranked Frost Dragon person, Du Shi, and the 5th-ranked was the 10-tailed fox race's Hu Baimei. According to the situation, Zhao Fu should have faced the 10-tailed fox race, and the next person to challenge would have been Hu Baimei. The 10-tailed fox race's Hu Baimei followed the guidance of the power and came to a place to wait for Zhao Fu. Her expression was also incredibly solemn. That mysterious person had started from the bottom and had challenged all the way to where she was. The top 5 geniuses had all been defeated by him. Although she had never seen that mysterious person's face, she could feel an immense pressure. She did not have much confidence, because that person had the power to defeat divine realm experts. Relying on cultivation to suppress him would not work. However, she was surprised to find that the 4th-ranked Frost Dragon person was nearby. Seeing Hu Baimei come, he understood something and stayed here. The Frost Dragon person was quite curious about that mysterious person and wanted to see just what kind of person he was. For him to have challenged all the way here was a miracle and threatened his position. When Zhao Fu arrived, the 10-tailed fox races Hu Baimei and Frost Dragon person, she looked at Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu also looked at them. Hu Baimei flirtatiously laughed and said, "Who is Sir? I want to get to know Sir. Also, Sir has a lot of the fox race's aura on you, so your relationship with my fox race should be quite special." Within Zhao Fu's body, Hu Baimei's flirtatious voice made his heart tremble. Hu Baimei had an extremely terrifying, bewitching power, and ordinary people who heard her voice would have long since lost their minds and would be controlled by Hu Baimei like puppets. Facing Hu Baimei's words, Zhao Fu did not hold back and gave a trace of a domineering smile as he said, "Come and serve me, and I'll tell you who I am." Hu Baimei frowned. She was the crown princess of the fox race's strongest empire, and no one dared to speak to her like this in the Outlander domain. Her gaze was cold as she lightly laughed. "You want me to serve you? You really don't know what's good for you. I don't know who you are, but even if you are, I won't be able to serve you. With my status, I don't fear any faction in the Heaven-Awakened world, unless you're the 2nd King of Kings. However, that's impossible in your lifetime. Even though I don't know what race you are, you're definitely not from the Outlander race. And it is impossible for you to become the 2nd King of Kings. Only the King of Kings can enjoy my body. You don't have the right. You can't even compare to a single finger of his." Zhao Fu felt quite startled and felt quite confused. What was the King of Kings? Zhao Zhao Fu's king, Chun Fu, I king. S eyes Fu's eyes king, eyes Fu, I who eyes, as king. If it wasn't for the fact that the two of you weren't going to attack, I would have attacked first. Let me see just how strong you are. Hu Baimei laughed charmingly. That won't do. He's my prey. I'll teach him a lesson later. Zhao Fu did not know what the King of Kings was, but right now his goal was to defeat this person in front of him and obtain points to increase the Outlander race's fate, awaken the Outlander Emperor Star, and obtain rare materials. Since both of you are here, let's go together. The people on the viewing platforms went into an uproar. Originally, they had seen Zhao Fu and the two other geniuses and had been excitedly waiting for Zhao Fu and Hu Baimei's battle. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would want the two geniuses to fight together. My God, those are the 4th and 5th ranked geniuses. Apart from the top 3 legend rank experts, they're the strongest. Isn't it a little too arrogant to ask them to come meet together? What arrogance! He has no respect for anyone else and is incredibly arrogant. Who dares to speak to those two geniuses like that? That's right, those words are too terrifying. Does he really think he has the strength to challenge those two geniuses? He's too arrogant. It'll be interesting if he gets beaten up by those two geniuses. I don't believe it either. It would be fine for him to challenge one of the geniuses, but challenging the 5th and 4th ranked geniuses is simply seeking death. Hu Baimei and Du, she had never thought that Zhao Fu would say such a thing and challenge them together. They looked quite confused and felt quite angry. He evidently did not place them in his eyes at all. Zhao Fu did not have such intentions. He thought that since they had come together, he would deal with them together and then challenge the 3 most powerful people in the Outlander race. As long as he could defeat them, Zhao Fu would definitely come first and obtain the godly materials and Emperor Stars. Since you're seeking death, don't blame me. The frost dragon person coldly harumphed and exploded out with a powerful icy aura, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet. Hu Baimei laughed, and a formless aura exploded out. Her body gave off a dreamlike light, and the scenery around her seemed to become unreal. Facing the two of them, Zhao Fu did not dare to be careless at all. He took out the Emperor Killing Sword, and a black aura flame appeared around it. Du Shi held an icy saber and did not hold back. He raised his saber and sent a powerful wave of power into it as he vigorously slashed out, and a massive icy saber light containing terrifying power slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu also sent a massive wave of power into the Emperor Killing Sword, causing it to give off a faint sword light. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a black and blood-red sword light containing sharp power slashed towards Du Shi. Bang! The two of them collided, resulting in a massive explosion and sending out a storm of icy chi and sword chi. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Zhao Fu. It was Hu Baimei. She held a sword and vigorously stabbed toward Zhao Fu, sending out a cold light. Zhao Fu slashed out with a backhand, and a sharp sword light slashed out, cutting Hu Baimei's body in half. However, the two halves of Hu Baimei's body disappeared like an illusion. Shing! A sword hum sounded out as Hu Baimei once again appeared beside Zhao Fu. Her sword gave off a sharp sword light as she stabbed toward Zhao Fu incredibly quickly and was about to stab into Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and immediately released a black energy barrier. Bang! The sword slammed into the energy barrier with immense power, resulting in a massive explosion. Zhao Fu's body was forced back a few steps, and the barrier was covered with cracks. Boom! An explosion suddenly sounded out as the frost dragon person leapt into the air and gripped his saber with both hands as he vigorously slashed down a massive icy saber light that seemed to be able to split apart the ground. Sword Master. Chapter 1686. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the terrifying sword intent and saber light collided, causing a massive shockwave to blast out. The ground cracked and trees were destroyed, and the three of them were forced back 5 or 6 steps before stopping. However, their expressions became serious. Du Shi and Hu Baimei felt quite startled at Zhao Fu's power. and it was possible that he could take on both of them by himself. Zhao Fu also felt immense pressure. It would be incredibly difficult to defeat both of them at once. Boom! The first to attack exploded out with an icy aura flame, and a cold wind blew out of the sky. The dragon person gripped his saber with both hands and sent out another massive icy saber light, which gave off ferocious power as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Boom! Fu Baimei also exploded out with a powerful aura as a white aura flame appeared around her body. She raised her sword and pointed it at Zhao Fu as she vigorously stabbed out, causing an incredibly sharp sword light to stab toward Zhao Fu. It was incredibly fast and seemed to be unstoppable. The two attacks gave off terrifying auras as Zhao Fu roared and ignited his divine bloodline. A massive black blood-red flame spread out, and massive power entered the Emperor Killing Sword as he vigorously slashed out. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a massive black crescent containing terrifying sword energy flew out, seeming to be able to destroy everything as it slashed towards the two of them. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the three attacks collided, resulting in another massive explosion. Icy sword light shot everywhere, and a shockwave blasted out, causing the ground to crack and rocks to fall everywhere. Bang! 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 Massive sounds continuously sounded out as the three of them continued to ferociously fight. The dragon person continuously slashed out icy saber lights. Fu Baimei continuously sent out sword lights, and Zhao Fu continuously slashed out sword lights towards the two of them. Powerful gales spread out, causing countless trees to sway and sand and pebbles to fly. It was like a disaster, and the scene was quite terrifying. Roar! A massive dragon's roar suddenly sounded out as the dragon person once again raised its saber. Countless traces of icy chi flooded out, forming an ice dragon that looked like a lizard with a pair of wings. It gave off a biting coldness, and the air around it seemed to freeze. Roar! A massive roar sounded out as Fu Baimei raised her sword, and a white aura flame exploded out, forming a fox with 10 tails. The 10 tails continuously danced, bringing with them gales as they spread out. The two of them slashed down with their weapons, and the ice dragon and fox gave off terrifying auras as they rushed toward Zhao Fu, seeming as if they could destroy everything. Ayo, ayo, ayo! Zhao Fu ignited his divine bloodline and raised the Emperor Killing Sword. The black flames around his body became many times larger, and 9 dragons' roars sounded out as 9 savage black dragons giving off massive might appeared. Boom! Zhao Fu raised his sword and heavily slashed out, causing the 9 black dragons around him to give off massive roars and give off terrifying power and mountainous auras as they rushed towards the ice dragon and fox. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as countless rays of blinding light spread out. A destructive power instantly spread out, causing the ground to collapse meter by meter. Countless trees and boulders were reduced to rubble, and a 10,000-meter wide crater appeared. The ground continuously trembled as a shockwave containing countless rocks and gravel spread out, inundating everything. Sensing these terrifying shockwaves, everyone's expressions fell, and they excitedly hurried over. This was most likely another terrifying shockwave from that person challenging another genius. Everyone felt quite expectant. Last time, he had defeated the 6th-ranked lion person, and this time, he would most likely challenge the 5th-ranked Fu Baimei. They wondered if he would succeed this time. Everyone felt quite expectant as they went to the outskirts of the battle. They were shocked to find that Zhao Fu was challenging 2 geniuses by himself. Wasn't this too crazy? Did he really have such terrifying power? Now, no one dared to challenge 2 geniuses by themselves. If he could do it today, another legend would be born. The terrifying power spread out, and the 3 people were all affected. They were sent flying back and coughed up mouthfuls of blood. Boom! The dragon person climbed up from the ground and gave off a powerful aura as he rushed at Zhao Fu. He quickly arrived in front of Zhao Fu, and his saber gave off a cold light as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu dodged to the side, avoiding this attack, and he slashed at the dragon person, sending out a sharp arc of light towards the dragon person. The dragon person retreated, avoiding this attack, and he gripped a fist. Massive amounts of dragon's energy gathered in his hand as he vigorously punched toward Zhao Fu. An explosion sounded out as the punch contained mountain-crushing power. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed and used his Dragon Emperor's power. Massive amounts of dragon's energy gathered in his hand, and small violet dragon scales appeared on his fist as he punched out with terrifying power. Bang! The two fists collided, resulting in a massive explosion. A wild gale spread out, and both of them were forced back a few steps. The dragon person looked quite confused as he found that Zhao Fu could also use pure dragon's energy, and it seemed that dragon's energy was of a higher grade than his own. However, his dragon's bloodline was the highest grade of dragon's bloodline in the world. How could anyone compare to it? Just what kind of person was this person? How could he have such high dragon's energy? Before the dragon person could think too much, a sword light containing terrifying power tore through the sky and slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not use his sword, and his violet dragon claw-like hand gave off immense power as 5 violet arcs of light containing terrifying power flew towards the sword light. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the sword light and arcs of light collided, turning into countless motes of light and dissipating. Shing! A sword hum sounded out as Hu Baimei leapt into the air and gave off a powerful aura as her sword gave off a shocking sword light as it slashed down. Zhao Fu raised his sword and blocked. Bang! The two swords collided, resulting in a massive explosion. A shockwave spread out, and the 100 meters below Zhao Fu cracked. Suddenly, Hu Baimei's 10 tails quickly grew, turning into 10 massive tails that gave off terrifying power as they slammed toward Zhao Fu. The cross-shaped pupil in Zhao Fu's right eye quickly spun, and a massive wave of ghostly chi flowed out. Under Zhao Fu's control, it turned into 10 massive gray dragon tails that gave off shocking power as they slammed towards Hu Baimei. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the tails collided, causing a massive gale to spread out, and both of them were forced back 10 or so steps. Now, both of them looked at each other seriously and understood how terrifying the other party was. Arg. Chapter 1687. Boom! An icy saber, chi rushed into the sky, and a cold aura spread out. The dragon person raised his saber with both hands and slashed down, sending out a massive saber light that seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. The countless ghosts turned into bone chi and disappeared, and a massive saber gash appeared on the ground, which was covered in ice. Shing! Hu Baimei raised the sword in her hand and sent a powerful wave of power into it, causing the sword to give off boundless white light. Hu Baimei vigorously slashed out, causing a massive sword light, bringing with it a flood-like sword chi, to rush at the incoming ghosts. The countless ghosts collided with the sword chi and were slashed apart, turning into ghostly chi and dissipating. Suddenly, Zhao Fu's figure appeared in front of the dragon person, and his sword gave off shocking sword energy as he slashed towards the dragon person. The dragon person was given a big fright and used his saber to block, but he was still sent flying dozens of meters by Zhao Fu and crashed to the ground. Boom! At that moment, Hu Baimei stretched out a hand, and a massive white-colored aura flowed out, turning into a massive fox claw that gave off terrifying power and a gale as it clawed toward Zhao Fu. Bang! Zhao Fu was also sent flying by the massive claw and heavily crashed to the ground, opening up a large crater. Hu Baimei held her sword and continued to rush at Zhao Fu. She quickly arrived in front of Zhao Fu and sent a powerful wave of power into her sword, causing it to give off an intense sword light. She vigorously slashed out, and a sword light tore through the air and slashed towards Zhao Fu with terrifying power. Zhao Fu lay on the ground and looked at Hu Baimei. A black and blood-red sword pupil suddenly widened, causing Hubaime to feel quite startled. Shing, 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 rays of black and blood-red sword chi flowed out, giving off power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything as they shot towards the terrifying sword light. The sword light was instantly shattered by the countless rays of sword chi and continued towards Hubaime. Hubaime immediately unleashed a defensive barrier, and countless black and blood-red sword chi slammed into Hubaime. A muffled explosion sounded out as the defensive barrier shattered, and Hubaime flew back and coughed up a mouthful of blood. A small wound appeared on her chest, from which blood flowed out. After using the eyes of the killing sword's power for so many days, Zhao Fu had recovered quite a bit of his strength. Boom! The dragonoid warrior gripped the saber with both hands and slashed at Zhao Fu again. A massive icy saber light slashed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu started a fight and sent large amounts of power into his sword as he vigorously slashed out, causing a black and blood-red sword light to give off sharp power to slash towards the dragon person. Bang! When the two attacks collided, a loud sound rang out. Sword light and saber light shot out in all directions, causing a storm to spread out. Shing, shing, shing. Sword hums suddenly sounded out as Hubaime furiously raised her sword and sent large amounts of power into it. The sword gave off countless traces of sword chi and shot into the sky. Heaven and earth power from the surroundings flowed into it, forming a massive sword flower that gave off an incredibly sharp aura. The space around it seemed to be unable to withstand it, and cracks appeared. Boom! The dragon person exploded out with a powerful icy flame, sending out an icy gale that spread out. An ice pearl floated out of the dragon person's body and floated in the air. Heaven and earth power continuously flowed out, and the ice pearl gave off boundless icy light, giving off an extremely cold power. Shing! Zhao Fu's expression fell, and he exploded out with all of his power, causing a massive black aura flame to appear. He slowly raised his sword, and a black sword light shot into the sky. Heaven and earth power continuously flowed out, forming a massive black magic formation, and a terrifying sword intent spread out. Boom! Hubaime's sword descended, and the sword flower gave off a power that seemed to be able to slash apart everything as it shot toward Zhao Fu. It left behind an enormous sword chi that seemed to flood out and destroy everything. Boom! The dragon person's saber descended, and the orb of ice in the sky gave off a power that seemed to be able to freeze everything as it shot toward Zhao Fu. Frost could be seen condensing in the sky, seeming to be able to freeze the entire sky. Facing these two terrifying attacks, Zhao Fu roared and sent all of his power into the sword formation. The sword formation started to activate, and an aura of annihilation spread out as massive blood-red sword lights containing enough power to destroy the heavens and earth shot forwards. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out, and from the distance, the ground continuously trembled as a massive energy barrier appeared. The ground, trees, rocks, mountains, rivers, and everything else turned into dust. A terrifying shockwave turned into a superstorm that spread out. Countless trees were uprooted, boulders were blown into the sky, and sand filled the sky. After all of the shockwaves settled, a 100,000-meter wide crater appeared in the ground, giving off traces of a terrifying aura that could cause people's souls to tremble. The people on the viewing platforms looked at this terrifying scene in shock. Even though they were not present, they could sense that terrifying, destructive power. This was not power that mortals could have, and even the god demons would feel terror. Just who has one? Everyone looked at the deathly silent crater and could not be sure if that person had defeated two geniuses or if the two geniuses had defeated Zhao Fu. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded throughout the sky as an icy aura flame rushed into the sky, causing the surrounding temperature to plummet. A cold gale swept out, and the ground started to freeze. A figure appeared within the icy aura flame. He was tall and had icy scales, and he had an icy crystal horn on his head. He also had a pair of icy dragon wings on his back, and he gave off immense power. He was the dragon person from before. Boom! A terrifying aura flooded out, and a shocking might covered the surroundings, causing the ground to continuously tremble. A 10,000-meter-long fox with snow-white fur and 10 tails crawled out from the ground, giving off a powerful aura that spread out like a wild gale. She was naturally Hubaime. Everyone's gazes fell on the bloodied Zhao Fu's body, and Zhao Fu looked quite weak as he lay on the ground. Zhao Fu slowly stretched out a hand, and a gash appeared on his arm as 6 chains shot out and entered the air. Boom! 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 6 massive waves of ghostly chi spread out like a flood, seeming to inundate the world and causing the heavens and earth to be filled with an eerie coldness. 6 figures giving off terrifying power appeared. One was covered with violet scales and held a spear. One had 4 skinny limbs and a bulging stomach. One looked like a demon. One had a muscular body. One had a pair of wings, and one looked like a ghost. Chapter 1688. Seeing the 6 paths demon images that Zhao Fu had summoned, the dragon person and Hubaime felt quite startled. They had never expected things to turn out like this. 3 heaven-toppling auras dyed the sky, 3 different colors, each occupying a corner. The icy, cold aura, the ferocious beast aura, and the eerie, ghostly aura continuously clashed against each other, creating massive gales that caused the heavens and earth to dim. The sun and moon dimmed as winds and clouds surged. Boom! Zhao Fu led the 6 paths demon images and attacked first. They instantly appeared in front of the 10-tailed fox, and the 10 or so meter tall 6 paths demon images swung their fists, giving off terrifying destructive power as they punched towards the 10-tailed fox. The 10-tailed fox was given a big fright and unleashed a massive energy barrier to cover its massive body. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the 6 paths demon images slammed against the barrier with terrifying power, causing a massive gale to spread out. The 10,000-meter-long 10-tailed fox was sent flying and heavily crashed to the ground, causing the ground to violently tremble. Boom! A terrifying aura spread out as the dragon person raised his saber and slashed out with terrifying power. A 1,000-meter-long, icy saber, Chi, gave off an aura that seemed to be able to slash apart everything as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu slashed out, and an enormous sword light containing terrifying power slashed out, colliding with the saber Chi and resulting in a massive explosion. A wild gale spread out. Roar! A massive roar sounded out as the 10-tailed fox crawled up from the ground and opened its mouth, causing countless rays of white light to flow out. A dangerous aura spread out, and countless arcs of white lightning appeared in the surroundings. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the 10-tailed fox shot out an enormous ray of light that contained destructive power toward Zhao Fu. It was incredibly fast, and as it streaked past, space continuously trembled. Facing the incoming ray of light, the 6 paths demon images blocked in front of Zhao Fu and stretched out a hand. A massive wave of ghostly energy gathered in their palms, and a gray energy barrier with the 6 paths diagram on it shot out. Bang! The terrifying white ray of light hit the energy barrier and split apart, shooting towards either side of Zhao Fu. It instantly turned everything into nothingness and tore open 2 massive ravines, giving off shocking sounds. Roar! A massive dragon's roar sounded out as the dragon person exploded out with a powerful aura and slashed out with a saber. A massive lizard-like ice dragon with wings gave off a bone-chilling aura as it rushed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not feel any fear and rushed over with the 6 paths demon images as he yelled, "Sword Master!" A sharp storm of sword chi spread out as the Emperor Killing Sword gave off an intense sword light. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a massive black and blood-red sword light containing extremely sharp power slashed out, seeming to tear apart the sky. Bang! The ice dragon that attacked directly exploded, turning into countless ice chi that spread out, forming countless cold currents. Zhao Fu gripped a fist, and the six paths demon images also gripped their fists. Zhao Fu vigorously punched out, and the six paths demon images punched out with terrifying power. Six terrifying fist energies flew out, seeming to be able to shatter a mountain. The dragon person was given a big fright and used a saber to block in front of him, but he was still blasted back by that massive fist energy. He smashed through a few large boulders before falling down and coughing up a large mouthful of blood. Boom! Suddenly, a massive ray of white light containing terrifying power shot out incredibly quickly. Zhao Fu was unable to react in time and was sent flying by the massive ray of white light. He crashed into a large mountain and almost caused the mountain to collapse. Zhao Fu's eyes lit up as he looked at Zhao Fu. Bang! An enormous, ghostly flame erupted and gave off an explosive power as it blasted out. The surrounding boulders were all blasted away, and Zhao Fu appeared with a trace of blood on his lips. His eyes were cold, and a massive gray, ghostly flame caused the heavens and earth to become icy cold. The ten-tailed fox and dragon person looked at each other. Facing Zhao Fu's terrifying power, they did not hesitate and exploded out with their final power. Roar! The dragon person raised his head and gave a dragon's roar that sounded out in all directions. An extremely terrifying power spread out as his body gave off boundless light. An icy pillar of light containing immense power shot into the sky, causing the sky to tremble. The icy pillar of light stood between the heavens and the earth, and heaven and earth power madly gathered and flowed into the icy pillar of light. An extremely cold aura spread out, and the sky, ground, and space all started to crystallize. Every trace of the cold aura caused people to feel despair. Roar! The ten-tailed fox also gave a massive roar, and a terrifying power exploded out, sending out an enormous gale. Countless trees swayed and sand and pebbles were blown into the air, and even the ground cracked. The ten-tailed fox's tails gave off terrifying power as they danced, creating an even more terrifying gale. 10 blinding white orbs of light containing destructive power slowly appeared. Zhao Fu's expression was serious as he raised his chained hand, and the 6 chains pulled the 6 paths demon images to the ground in front of him. Roar! 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 The 6 paths demon images raised their heads and gave off massive roars that sounded out in all directions. They exploded out with terrifying auras as their bodies gave off boundless gray light. They raised a hand and gave off terrifying power as they pressed it against the ground. Boom! 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 6 massive explosions sounded out as the ground seemed to collapse. 6 massive waves of ghostly chi exploded out like volcanoes, giving off terrifying auras as they shot into the sky, forming 6 pillars of gray aura. Countless traces of eerie aura spread out, causing people's hairs to stand on end. Boom! The dragon person attacked, and the massive icy pillar of light gave off a power that seemed to be able to freeze the heavens and earth as it stretched towards Zhao Fu incredibly quickly. The ground, sky, trees, rocks, and flowers were all covered in a thick layer of ice. Boom! 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 The ten-tailed fox also attacked, and the 10 massive orbs of light in the air gave off shocking power as they shot toward Zhao Fu. They were incredibly fast, and they gave off 10 massive explosions. Boom! Zhao Fu raised his hand and gave off a massive formless power as he grabbed forwards. The 6 massive pillars of gray aura in front of him formed an enormous ghostly hand that gave off world-destroying power as it grabbed forwards, causing countless spatial cracks to appear. Zhao Fu raised his hand and looked at Zhao Fu. Bang! An explosion sounded out as if the heavens and earth had exploded, and countless rays of blinding light shot out. The heavens and earth became hazy, and the mountains, ground, sky, trees, and rivers all turned into nothingness without any obstruction. The ground continuously trembled as a terrifying aura ferociously spread out like a flood. From the distance, this place seemed to be covered by a massive haze. Chapter 1689. After everything slowly calmed down, there was a 200,000-meter wide crater in the ground. It was a ghastly sight, shocking and frightening. Traces of aura rose up from the crater, and each trace gave off an aura of destruction. This place had lost all signs of life, and it was impossible for any living creature to survive here. That was how terrifying that power was. Who won now? Countless people's gazes fell on the crater. It was most likely that the victor had been decided. The three of them had most likely used their full power to unleash such terrifying power, and it was impossible for them to have held back. A pile of rubble rolled out as a person covered with blood walked out. This person was wearing a tattered cloak, and it was Zhao Fu. There was no second person from the crater, and some people looked at the points and found that the 5th and 4th place geniuses had fallen, while Zhao Fu's ranking had risen to 3rd place. From this, it could be seen that Zhao Fu had won. Countless people cried out in alarm, expressing their excitement and shock. Heavens! That person really defeated 2 geniuses by himself. That person is too amazing, and I'll worship him in the future. There shouldn't be many people who can compare to him. Just who is he? My blood is boiling. 7 of the Outlander race's top 10 geniuses have been defeated by him. Who can compete with him? I like him so much. I feel so blessed to be his woman. I really envy those women who have received his favor. They all have such a powerful man. He's ridiculously powerful. Before, I didn't have much confidence that he could win, but he hid such terrifying power. I'm completely convinced. I'm so excited. He really won. It was worth it for me to support him this entire time. The surroundings were sent into an uproar as everyone discussed Zhao Fu and became even more curious about Zhao Fu's identity. With Zhao Fu's ability to summon the 6 paths demon images, Zhao Fu's position in the underworld was incredibly important, and ordinary imperial princes could not compare to him at all. Now, almost no one dared to call Zhao Fu a perverted bandit or a bastard. They were all filled with shock, respect, and terror. Instead, many women wanted to throw themselves into Zhao Fu's embrace. The 2 empires that had wanted to kill Zhao Fu at all costs now lowered their standards. Before, they had wanted Zhao Fu to marry into their empires, but now they were thinking about how to marry the 2 princesses over. With Zhao Fu's terrifying power and his ability to summon the 6 paths demon images, it was possible that the faction behind Zhao Fu was dozens of times more powerful than their empires. They were in a weaker position and did not deserve Zhao Fu's status, so they felt quite worried. If they could form an alliance with such a terrifying faction, their empires would become much more confident. As such, almost everyone agreed to marry the 2 princesses over, and they no longer felt any anger or hatred. Even though their princesses had lost, the Fox race's people did not feel much anger or animosity toward Zhao Fu. After all, Zhao Fu had used his true strength to defeat their princesses, and he had fought 1 against 2. Even though their princesses had lost, they accepted it wholeheartedly. After all, their strength was inferior to Zhao Fu's, and that person was already so terrifying. Losing was not too shameful. The Fox race's higher-ups thought about how Zhao Fu had teased Hubaimei and felt that Zhao Fu was very interested in Hubaimei, and they even wanted to marry Hubaimei to Zhao Fu. Firstly, Zhao Fu's status and strength were already higher than Hubaimei's, and they felt that he was not inferior to their empire. Secondly, the Fox race's higher-ups quite liked Zhao Fu and felt that he had great potential. In the future, his name would shake the heaven-awakened world, and he would become one of the most dazzling people in the world. As such, they wanted Hubaimei to marry him. They knew that Zhao Fu was quite dissolute, but they could still accept it. However, as the most powerful Fox race's empire, they were a top-tier faction even in the Outlander domain and had terrifying power. As such, they had a requirement that Hubaimei had to be the Empress Dowager. The Dragon Person Empire's people looked quite serious because they found that that mysterious person had a supreme dragon bloodline, which was the highest bloodline in the dragon race. They guessed that Zhao Fu was not someone from the death race, but a terrifying figure from the dragon race. As dragon people, they were part of the dragon bloodline. Facing such a person, they felt a sense of respect and wanted to have a good relationship with him in the future. With Zhao Fu's abilities and strength, it was worth it for them to do so. Even though their imperial prince had lost to Zhao Fu, they could still accept it. Whether it was in terms of bloodline or strength, Zhao Fu was stronger than their imperial prince. They also wanted to marry their princess over, even if she was not the Empress Dowager. If they could obtain the dragon race's supreme bloodline, it would be of great help to their empire and would be incredibly important. The teachers from Outlander 10 College were also quite shocked that Zhao Fu had defeated two geniuses by himself. The elegant-looking woman gave a flirtatious smile as she said, "We've underestimated him. His strength is actually so terrifying." Also, Dong Lung, you said that he couldn't even defeat the 6th-ranked genius, but he defeated two geniuses by himself. What do you have to say? The serious-looking middle-aged man had a cold expression as he said, "He has indeed surpassed my expectations. I've underestimated this brat. From the looks of it, his identity really is a bit special, making it hard for people to determine what race he is. However, from the power he displayed, his identity is definitely quite terrifying. He's worthy of my attention, but facing the three people standing at the top, I'm not sure if he has the ability to defeat them." The gnome elder nodded and said, "I underestimated him. I never thought that a Harmony Realm cultivator like him would be able to come this far and fight 7 great geniuses by himself. This isn't something that ordinary geniuses can do. No wonder countless people worship and respect him. However, I still don't like his character, and I don't think he can defeat the Sun Elf. The Sun Elf is our Outlander race's most dazzling genius, and everyone can only live under his light. It's impossible to surpass or defeat him, and he's the limit of our Outlander race." The chubby bear person elder laughed as he said, "I'm still on that boy's side. I think that he will once again surpass our expectations. I have this feeling." The elegant-looking woman looked a bit curious as she smiled and asked, "Do you think he's that person from the preamble?" Chapter 1690. The gnome elder nodded in agreement and said, "That's definitely impossible. No matter how monstrous his strength is, even defeating the Sun Elf is impossible. After all, he's not from our Outlander race. How could he be the Outlander race's King of Kings?" Even the bear person elder who supported Zhao Fu seriously nodded and said, "That's indeed impossible. If he's not from our Outlander race, it's impossible for him to pull out the King of Kings sword. If he's from the Outlander race, perhaps it's possible." The fox race man nodded. "That's right. No matter how monstrous his strength is, if he's not from our Outlander race, how could he pull out the King of Kings sword? I think that the person who made the prophecy is the person who caused the 23 statues to react. It's just that it's a bit strange that that person hasn't appeared after so long. He's hidden himself quite well. However, at the final moment, he'll definitely appear, and I'm looking forward to that." The elegant-looking woman lightly laughed as she said, "I'm also looking forward to that person's appearance. However, if that person wants to pull out the King of Kings sword, his greatest obstacle will be the Sun Elf. I'm sure a terrifying battle will erupt between the two of them." Hearing this, everyone else nodded. The Sun Elf's expression became quite serious, and he started to take notice. That person was coming too ferociously, and he could not help but take notice. That person had just defeated the 7th-ranked person, so he naturally did not care too much. After all, with his strength, he would be able to easily defeat that person. However, that person had made it this far and was ranked 3rd on the rankings. His strength was simply terrifying. The Sun Elf sensed an incredibly ferocious monster leaping at him from below, its eyes looking at him savagely. Medusa changed her mind and treated Zhao Fu as her opponent. Now, in terms of points, Zhao Fu was ranked 3rd behind her. Moreover, she had never fought with him before, so she did not know just how strong Zhao Fu was. Even though she had a proud personality and did not place anyone in her eyes, she was not stupid. With such a ferocious monster by her side, she could not ignore its existence, or else she would not even know how she had died. From Zhao Fu's performance, it was enough to make her an opponent. Soon, that person would find her and challenge her. The treasure dwarf's expression was a bit ugly. Although he hadn't fought against that person, Zhao Fu's points had already surpassed him and pushed him to fourth place. In other words, Zhao Fu had already defeated him. Now, the treasure dwarf did not dare to be careless at all. He no longer killed creatures that were worth points, as there was no point in doing so. At this moment, that person had defeated the fourth ranker and would soon find him. The two of them would definitely have a fierce battle, so the treasure dwarf did not dare to be careless. He recovered his strength and faced that person at his peak state. Outside the mystic realm, the ogre was about to enter the mystic realm to continue the test, while the lion man was recovering from his injuries. The three-headed ogre naturally knew that the lion person had also been defeated by that person, and he felt quite shocked. Just how powerful was that person to have defeated another genius? He felt a bit better. If someone stronger than him had been defeated, it would not be too shameful for him to lose. At that moment, two figures flew out, covered with blood and looking quite heavily injured. The ogre looked quite surprised as he found that these two people were the fourth-ranked dragon person and fifth-ranked Ubaime. How did both of them come out with heavy injuries? Thinking about the experiences of the other geniuses, the ogre understood something and felt quite shocked. The fourth-ranked and fifth-ranked people had both been defeated by that person. That person was quite terrifying. The lion person, who had been recovering, looked at the two heavily injured people in shock. He had never thought that they would also be defeated by that person. However, this was just their guesses, and the ogre could not help but ask, "Were you also defeated by that person?" The dragon person nodded and sighed, his expression becoming quite unsightly. Both of them had been defeated by that person, and that person had challenged both of them by himself. In the end, they had still lost, making them feel quite embarrassed. It was the first time they had suffered such a blow. Ubaime angrily coldly harumphed. That bastard's strength is too terrifying, and he's extremely arrogant. He challenged both of us by himself. And, in the end, that bastard won. I'm so angry. Hearing this, the ogre and lion person looked quite shocked. That person had challenged two geniuses by himself and had won. No wonder they had come out together. They had been defeated by that person together. That person had once again exceeded their expectations. How could he have such great strength? They felt a trace of fear in their hearts. Moreover, they had always felt that Zhao Fu had been hiding his strength. Now, it was proven that Zhao Fu had not used his full strength, making them feel quite dispirited. At that moment, Ubaime accidentally pulled on her wounds and cried out in pain as she said angrily, "That bastard doesn't even know how to be gentler to a weak woman like me. Next time, I'll definitely teach him a lesson." The ogre felt quite surprised. It was the first time he had seen Ubaime like this. Normally, she looked incredibly flirtatious and seductive, making people unable to stop themselves. However, the ogre was quite powerful and could resist Ubaime's bewitching power. He asked curiously, "What's the situation like inside? Also, how is that person?" The dragon person's expression became serious as he said, "That person is ranked third and has most likely been injured. After he recovers, he will challenge the top three." These words caused everyone's hearts to tremble. The top three people gave them massive pressure and felt that they were inferior to them. They felt a trace of fear within their hearts. This was the power of the top three. The lion person said seriously, "Do you think that person will be able to challenge the top three?" Ubaime pouted as she said, "I think that bastard might be able to challenge the top 2 and 3, but facing the top-ranked Sun Elf, that's impossible. Even though that bastard is strong, he's not a match for the Sun Elf. The Sun Elf is too terrifying." The ogre said, "If he can challenge the second and third places, his strength is quite terrifying and is far stronger than ours. If he can temporarily take second place, I can't help but feel admiration towards him." The lion person nodded in agreement and sighed as he said, I wonder who that person is to be so powerful. Chapter 1691. Over at Zhao Fu, he found a secluded place and started to recover from his injuries. This time, his injuries were quite severe, and it took him 3 days to fully recover. After defeating the 4th-ranked and 5th-ranked geniuses, Zhao Fu obtained many benefits. He first obtained a large number of points, and a massive amount of Outlander fate flowed into his body, causing the bottleneck to become weaker and weaker. He was one step closer to awakening his Emperor's Star. On that day, the women found Zhao Fu, the 2 princesses, the 4 goddesses, and the ogre chief. Because they were quite close, they could sense each other. Seeing Zhao Fu, the women happily leapt into Zhao Fu's embrace. They knew what Zhao Fu had done in the secret realm, which had caused massive waves. Everyone in the secret realm knew about it. The Outlander race's 7 most powerful geniuses had all been defeated at his hands. This was something they could be incredibly proud of. Now that they were the women of such a legendary man, they felt incredibly happy. Zhao Fu lightly laughed and hugged the women as he said, "What is it? Why you all look so happy?" The dragon princess happily smiled as she said, "Of course we're happy to see husband. Husband, you've been gone for so long and haven't come back to find us, so we can only go and find you. Also, husband, you're simply too powerful. Just who are you? How can you have such terrifying power? All of our Outlander race's 7 geniuses were defeated at your hands." The elf princess also coquettishly laughed. "Husband, your power has surpassed our imaginations. Your power is truly beyond our imagination. Now that you're proposing to our empire, we'll definitely be overjoyed to have such a powerful son-in-law like you." Zhao Fu did not care too much about this and said, "My goal is to defeat the Outlander race's 10 geniuses, and I'm going to defeat the 3rd-ranked treasure dwarf." The women could already guess what Zhao Fu was thinking, but hearing Zhao Fu say it, they could not help but feel quite shocked. After all, those were the 3 legendary geniuses of the Outlander race. "Husband, are you really confident? Those 3 are far stronger than the others." All the women looked at Zhao Fu with concern. A smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he said, "That's all I know. You guys don't have to worry about it. Also, I'm going to challenge the 3rd-ranked person now. You guys wait here for a while. I'll come back later." Hearing this, the women smiled and nodded before blushing and saying, "Be careful, husband. We'll watch your battle from the outside. After you win, we'll serve you well." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded, then turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the horizon. After a while, Zhao Fu landed on a flat piece of land. There was a dwarf sitting cross-legged on the ground, his body emitting the light of treasures. At this moment, the treasure dwarf slowly opened his eyes, looked at Zhao Fu, and said, "You're the person who defeated the 7 geniuses? You look quite ordinary, and your cultivation is only at the harmony realm. However, I won't lose to you." As he spoke, the treasure dwarf got up from the ground and took out a silver hammer with a serious expression. Zhao Fu did not say anything and took out the Emperor Killing Sword. The people on the viewing platforms once again felt incredibly excited. That person was challenging the 3rd-ranked treasure dwarf, who was one of the 3 most powerful people. There would definitely be an intense battle between the 2 of them. If that person could defeat the treasure dwarf, he would be even more terrifying. His fame would increase, and he would step onto the path to godhood. He would become a legendary figure of the Outlander race, and countless people would look up to him. Back at the battlefield, Zhao Fu held the Emperor Killing Sword and gave off a massive sword chi as he rushed at the treasure dwarf. The treasure dwarf also gave off a powerful aura as he held his hammer and rushed at Zhao Fu. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out an enormous black sword light and giving off sharp power as he slashed towards the dwarf. The dwarf swung out with his hammer, giving off ferocious energy as he slammed toward Zhao Fu. The 2 terrifying waves of power collided together, and a terrifying shock wave spread out, causing a wild gale to blow and the ground to crack. The two of them are forced back a few steps. Zhao Fu sent large amounts of divine power into the Emperor Killing Sword, causing it to give off a sharp sword light. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out sharp black sword lights that ferociously slashed towards the dwarf. The dwarf sent large amounts of power into his hammer, causing it to give off a powerful silver light. The dwarf vigorously swung out, giving off shocking destructive power as he slashed toward Zhao Fu. Bang! 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 Explosions sounded out as the countless sword lights were shattered by the hammers. Sword lights shot out in all directions, creating a gale that spread out in all directions. Boom! The dwarf suddenly exploded out with massive power, and the hammer in his hand gave off an intense silver light as he swung out with terrifying power. The sword light was instantly shattered by the hammer, and the terrifying power continued toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and blocked with the sword in front of him while unleashing a defensive barrier. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body was sent flying back, and the defensive barrier shattered, turning into countless shards and disappearing. Boom! The dwarf once again swung out with his hammer, sending out a ferocious destructive power and bringing with it a gust of wind as it flew toward Zhao Fu. After flying back, Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out with his sword, sending out a massive black sword light with shocking power. Bang! The two waves of power collided, resulting in a massive explosion. The explosive power turned into wild gales that blew out. Zhao Fu stopped flying back, and his gaze became serious. This dwarf's power was quite great. Bang! 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 This time, the dwarf attacked again and again with his hammers, sending out massive waves of energy. His hammers gave off an aura that seemed to be able to destroy everything, and they easily blasted open large craters in the ground. When they landed on boulders, they instantly shattered them, giving off ferocious sounds. Zhao Fu lightly cried out, "Sword Master!" A sword hum sounded out as a massive storm of sword chi spread out. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a massive black crescent gave off a sword intent that seemed to be able to cut through everything as it slashed towards the dwarf. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the boundless energy was blasted apart, turning into a ferocious gale that spread out. However, the sword light dissipated and did not continue to attack the dwarf. The dwarf coldly harumphed and sent massive amounts of power into his hammer, causing it to give off an intense light. A terrifying power spread out, and the space around it seemed to twist. Zhao Fu's expression was serious as he activated the Emperor Killing Sword's power, and an extremely sharp sword intent spread out. Boom! Chapter 1692. Xing. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a sword light containing shocking power flew out incredibly quickly. It instantly tore through the air, bringing with it a sword wind. Bang! The two attacks collided, exploding out with terrifying destructive power. Countless rays of light blasted out, and a shockwave rippled out. The ground instantly crumbled, and the two dwarves were sent flying back and crashed to the ground, bleeding from their wounds. Boom! The dwarf furiously got up from the ground and exploded out with a powerful aura. A silver aura flame appeared around his body, and he rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu wiped away the blood from his lips and got up from the ground, and a massive black aura flame appeared around his body. A powerful gale blew out. Bang! The dwarf rushed in front of Zhao Fu and raised his hammer as he slammed it towards Zhao Fu, bringing with it immense power. Zhao Fu dodged to the side, avoiding this attack, and his sword gave off a sword light as it stabbed towards the dwarf's head. The dwarf dodged to the side, avoiding Zhao Fu's attack, and he gripped his hammer and vigorously swung it at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu flipped in the air and arrived behind him, and his sword gave off a sharp sword light as it slashed towards the dwarf's back. The dwarf hurriedly turned and slammed out with his hammer with terrifying power. The hammer brought with it an intense gale. Bang! The sword and hammer collided, resulting in a massive explosion. A shockwave spread out, forcing both of them back 6 or 7 steps. The dwarf roared, and the silver aura flame around his body became many times more powerful, exploding out with even greater power. Zhao Fu also ignited his divine bloodline, causing a massive black blood-red flame to burn around him. The two different colored aura flames continuously clashed, forming wild gales that blew out in all directions. Roar! The dwarf raised the hammer in his hand, which gave off an intense light. A massive, muscular bull image appeared, giving off a powerful aura and giving off a ferocious aura. It was quite terrifying. Roar! A dragon's roar sounded out as Zhao Fu raised his sword, which gave off boundless sword light. A domineering black dragon appeared behind him, giving off a powerful dragon's might. The dwarf's hammer descended, and the bull seemed to go berserk as it gave off a ferocious aura and rushed at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's sword slashed out, and the black dragon gave off a massive aura as it rushed over. Bang! Another massive explosion sounded out as the two massive beasts collided, causing a terrifying energy to spread out. The ground instantly collapsed, and the two people were once again sent flying by the impact. Boom! Boom! Before the fluctuations subsided, two beams of fiery light shot towards Zhao Fu with immense heat. Zhao Fu was alarmed and immediately activated an energy barrier. Bang! The two beams of fiery light slammed into the barrier, resulting in a massive explosion. The energy destroyed the barrier, and Zhao Fu's body was sent flying. The dwarf gave off a powerful aura as he rushed over, his eyes giving off a fiery light. It was as if the two beams of light had been shot out from his eyes. The dwarf rushed in front of Zhao Fu and raised his hammer, giving off terrifying power as he smashed it toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's heart tightened, and he hurriedly dodged to the side. Bang! The hammer heavily smashed against the ground, causing a terrifying force field to ripple out. The ground in the surrounding dozens of meters instantly crumbled, and even though Zhao Fu had dodged the main attack, he was still caught up in the shock waves and was sent flying. Zhao Fu crashed 10 or so meters away, and he once again coughed up a mouthful of blood. The dwarf turned his head, and his eyes gave off an intense fiery light as two beams of fiery light containing terrifying power shot out toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's right hand quickly spun, and a massive wave of ghostly chi flowed out and gathered in front of him. Bang! The two beams of fiery light shot into the ghostly chi and once again exploded, causing the ghostly chi to explode and dissipate. However, Zhao Fu was not injured. The dwarf swung his hammer, sending out a terrifying wave of power toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out a sharp sword light towards the dwarf. The two attacks collided, resulting in an explosion that turned into a ferocious gale and dissipated. At that moment, the dwarf suddenly kicked off the ground with one of his feet. His foot gave off a silver aura that entered the ground, causing Zhao Fu's body to sink down. He felt a massive power weighing down on his body, and a silver magic formation appeared on the ground beneath his feet. That power heavily weighed down on Zhao Fu's body, making it difficult for Zhao Fu to move and make it impossible for him to escape from the magic formation. The dwarf gave a trace of a cold smile and held his hammer as he gave off a terrifying aura and rushed at Zhao Fu. The cross-shaped pupil in Zhao Fu's right eye and the 6 gray dots quickly spun as a massive wave of cold, ghostly chi flooded out. Arg! The ghostly chi formed malicious ghosts that howled and gave off ferocious ghostly chi as they rushed at the dwarf. Roar! Facing the countless ghosts, the dwarf opened his mouth and gave off a massive roar. Waves of corporeal sound waves spread out, bringing with them terrifying destructive power as the ground started to crack. The countless ghosts that surged over were instantly destroyed by the terrifying sound wave, turning into countless wisps of ghost chi that dissipated. The dwarf gave off a terrifying aura and continued to rush at Zhao Fu. This was how powerful the treasure item dwarf was. Every part of their bodies could be used as a powerful treasure item, and ordinary people would not be a match for them at all. This was why the treasure item dwarf was one of the 3 most terrifying people in the Outlander race. Clang, clang, clang. Zhao Fu gathered a wave of power in the golden pupil in his left eye, and chains shot out from behind Zhao Fu. All of them contained immense power as they shot toward the dwarf. The dwarf's eyes gave off a trace of savageness as he sent a massive wave of power into his hammer, causing it to give off an intense silver light and a dangerous aura to spread out. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the dwarf vigorously swung out with his hammer, bringing with it a terrifying force. The space around it seemed like it was going to shatter, and cracks appeared. Bang! 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 This terrifying force instantly shattered the countless chains that were shot out. Countless fragments of the chains shot out in all directions. The dwarf continued to rush at Zhao Fu and soon arrived in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's body was still bound by the silver magic formation, and he could not move. The dwarf gave a trace of a smile and gripped his hammer with both hands as he gave off a terrifying power as he smashed toward Zhao Fu. He thought that this person's strength was only SOSO, and even though he was quite powerful, he would still lose to him. Chapter 1693. The people on the viewing platforms started to feel nervous. Would that mysterious person lose because of this? He was the person with the most potential to challenge the top 3. If he won, the legend of the top 3 would be broken, and if he lost, the top 3 would continue to exist as legends. Boom! The hammer gave off a terrifying force as it slammed toward Zhao Fu, resulting in a massive sound and a wild gale. Seeing that the hammer was about to hit Zhao Fu did not panic at all. A sword shaped black and blood red, gave off an icy coldness as it looked at the dwarf. The dwarf felt quite startled, and his hairs stood on end. Shing, shing, shing. Countless traces of black and blood-red sword chi containing power that seemed to be able to slash through everything flowed out and quickly flew towards the dwarf, giving off terrifying sounds. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the dwarf was sent flying and heavily crashed to the ground, opening up a large crater, and he coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Boom! An explosion sounded out as a massive, ghostly flame burst forth around Zhao Fu's body, and cold winds blew out. At the same time, a terrifying power spread out from Zhao Fu's body. The silver magic formation on the ground gave off an intense silver light, wanting to continue to seal Zhao Fu's power. A silver light covered Zhao Fu's body. Zhao Fu vigorously struggled and broke free from the sealing power. The silver light disappeared, and he stomped on the ground. A massive wave of ghostly energy slammed into the ground, causing it to crack and the silver magic formation to disappear. By now, Zhao Fu had already used the 6 Paths Demon Image's power. His body gave off a ghostly flame, causing the heavens and earth to dim and clouds to swirl. A cold and eerie aura flooded out like a flood. The dwarf gave a massive roar as a terrifying power exploded out from his body. The dwarf grew a head and 2 arms, and a silver aura flame appeared around his body, dyeing the sky silver. At the same time, the dwarf took out a sword, a saber, and an axe. He gripped a weapon in each of his 4 arms, and his body gave off a silver light, making him look like a war god. Boom! The dwarf gave off a terrifying aura and looked like a godly spirit. He held 4 weapons, and each of them gave off a terrifying light as he rushed at Zhao Fu, resulting in massive explosions. Boom! Zhao Fu also took out the sadistic killing sword, holding the sadistic killing sword in one hand and the emperor killing sword in the other, sending massive amounts of power into the 2 swords. The 2 swords gave off shocking sword lights, and Zhao Fu gave off a wave of power as he rushed at the dwarf. Bang, 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 bang. Massive explosions sounded out as the dwarf swung his 4 weapons, giving off terrifying energy as he ferociously slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu continuously slashed out with his two swords, sending out terrifying sword lights towards the dwarf. Waves of terrifying power spread out, causing the ground to continuously collapse and sending out massive gales. Countless trees swayed and boulders rolled about. The heavens and earth dimmed as terrifying auras flooded out. Sensing this terrifying aura, countless people's expressions fell, and they excitedly gathered in that direction. Just as they had expected, that mysterious person was challenging the third-ranked legendary genius. That was the third-ranked legendary genius, and he was someone that ordinary people could not even touch. It was very rare to see him fight with his full strength. Now that both sides had exploded out with such terrifying shockwaves, the battle would definitely be intense. Countless people felt even more excited as they watched the two of them fight. Bang! 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 The two of them continued to swing their weapons, continuously sending out terrifying power and clashing, sending out terrifying shockwaves. Boom! 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 The dwarf sent terrifying power into the four weapons, causing them to give off an intense silver light. The dwarf vigorously struck out with the four weapons, and four terrifying waves of power blasted towards Zhao Fu with immense destructive power. Shing! Shing! Zhao Fu also sent large amounts of power into his two swords. One sword gave off a cold and powerful sword intent, while the other gave off a berserk sword intent. As the two swords slashed out, two shocking sword lights flew out. Boom! The two terrifying waves of power clashed together, causing a terrifying shockwave to explode out like an energy barrier. The ground, rocks, trees, and everything else within the shockwave were all blasted apart. The two of them flew backwards and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. There were some wounds on their bodies, and blood dyed their clothes red. Bang! 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 The dwarf got up from the ground, and his four eyes gave off brilliant fiery lights as four searing beams of light shot toward Zhao Fu. The surrounding temperature quickly rose, and it was as if he was next to a furnace. Zhao Fu's heart tightened, and he blocked with his swords in front of him. The cross-shaped pupil in his right eye continuously spun, and a massive wave of ghostly chi spread out, forming an enormous ball of ghostly chi that covered Zhao Fu's body. Bang! 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 For massive explosions sounded out as the enormous ball of ghostly chi was blasted apart, and Zhao Fu's body was blasted back. The dwarf gave a trace of a cold smile and gave off a terrifying aura as he rushed at Zhao Fu. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of chains could be heard as chains containing terrifying power shot out from the ground towards the dwarf. The dwarf's four arms swung, and the four weapons shot out with terrifying power, shattering the incoming chains and causing countless broken chains to fly everywhere. Shing! Shing! A sword hum suddenly sounded out as Zhao Fu swung his two swords, slashing out a crisscrossing sword light that contained immense power towards the dwarf. The dwarf felt quite startled and blocked with his weapons in front of him. Bang! The two sword lights gave off terrifying power as they slashed against the weapons, and the dwarf felt a massive force hit him. His body flew backwards and crashed to the ground, and he felt a sweetness in his throat as he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Shing! A massive sword hum sounded out as Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killing Sword and pointed it at the sky. A massive wave of power entered the sword, and the Emperor Killing Sword gave off an intense sword light as it shot into the sky. Heaven and earth power madly gathered, forming a massive vortex, and a black magic formation containing destructive power appeared. Zhao Fu's sword descended, and the magic formation gave off countless rays of sword light as it spun with terrifying power. Boom! 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 Terrifying black sword lights containing world-destroying power descended from the sky and slammed into the dwarf's body, resulting in massive explosions. Waves of destructive aura spread out, and the ground continuously collapsed. Chapter 1694. Everyone wanted to see Zhao Fu win, as Zhao Fu was the underdog challenging someone so high and mighty. This made them feel even more excited, as they were also the underdog and felt the same, so they stood on Zhao Fu's side. However, everyone was disappointed. After everything settled, the dwarf did not seem to have been injured at all and stood at the center of the crater. There was a four-colored barrier protecting the dwarf's body, and this four-colored barrier was a bit special. First, there were four palm-sized life forms made of energy floating around the dwarf. One was a yellow divine dragon that gave off yellow light and an earthly aura. One was a white bird that gave off white light and an aura of the sky. One was a black insect that gave off black light and an aura of the void. One was a fish that gave off blue light and an aura of time. And one was a fish that gave off blue light and an aura of time. The four creatures gave off light, forming a four-colored energy barrier that gave off an aura that seemed to belong to the heavens and the earth. The dwarf looked at Zhao Fu and said confidently, "You're very strong to be able to force me to use my final trump card. You should be proud of yourself, but since I've used this trump card, it means that you'll definitely lose." Zhao Fu did not reply, and his expression was serious as a few sword lights containing terrifying power slashed towards the dwarf. Bang! 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 Massive sounds rang out as the sword lights slashed against the four-colored barrier with terrifying power. However, not only did the barrier not tremble, but it did not even leave a mark on it. This made Zhao Fu feel quite startled. He had never thought that the barrier would be so tough. Even though he had not used his full strength in those attacks, they still contained terrifying power, but they had not left a mark on the barrier at all. Zhao Fu had never expected this and felt quite shocked. The dwarf said arrogantly, no matter what you do, you won't be able to break through my barrier. Did you know? This is eternal protection, one of the Heaven Awakened World's 6 great heaven-defying magic formations. Do you really think you can break through it? I originally planned to use this to challenge the Sun Elf, but I never thought that I would use it so quickly. That's why I said that you'll definitely lose. Boom! With his four-colored light shield, the dwarf rushed toward Zhao Fu like a ferocious beast, making an explosive sound. Zhao Fu's expression was cold as he sent a massive amount of power into his two swords and vigorously swung them out. Two terrifying sword lights, containing power that seemed to be able to slash through everything slashed against the four-colored barrier, but they did not even leave a mark. The dwarf directly ignored Zhao Fu's attack and swung his four weapons, giving off terrifying power as he attacked toward Zhao Fu. Right now, Zhao Fu was in a completely passive state. He couldn't attack the dwarves at all and could only defend passively. The people in the stands and the surrounding people had not expected this. The situation was not favorable for that person at all. It was very likely that he would lose. Eternal Protection was one of the 6 great heaven-defying magic formations, and it was a type of defensive power that had been split off from the Eternal Protection formation. As for why it was called the Eternal Protection formation, it was because no one could break through it. Even the most terrifying celestials would not be able to do so. Otherwise, it would not have been called one of the 6 great heaven-defying magic formations. Even though this Eternal Protection was not as powerful as the true Eternal Protection formation, it had unimaginable defensive power and was almost impossible to break through. The 6 great heaven-defying magic formations had disappeared from the world for a long time, and no one knew how the dwarf had obtained Eternal Protection. With this power, he could indeed challenge the first-ranked Sun Elf. Bang! The 4 weapons gave off intense lights and terrifying power as they tore through space and blasted Zhao Fu back to the ground. He heavily smashed open a large crater, and Zhao Fu coughed up a large mouthful of blood. The dwarf stood in the air and arrogantly laughed as he said, "I already said that it's impossible for you to defeat me. If you don't want to die, quickly admit defeat, and I won't make things difficult for you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." The people in the stands and the surrounding people inwardly sighed. Admitting defeat was the best choice. Facing Eternal Protection, the dwarf was in an invincible position, and that person would definitely lose to the dwarf. It was a pity that that person had already defeated 7 geniuses and was going to stop here. However, as one of the 3 legendary geniuses of the Outlander race, they were not people that ordinary people could defeat. Zhao Fu's expression was serious as he looked at the dwarf and said, "Unbreakable? I'll see if I can break it today." The dwarf gave off a trace of condescension as he loudly laughed and said, "You can try." After speaking, the dwarf gave off a massive aura and continued to attack Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu lay on the ground and slowly closed his eyes, and his expression became calm as he said, "Celestial mode. Activate." Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a massive rainbow-colored aura flame burst forth, giving off terrifying power as it covered the surrounding 10,000 meters. Everything in the surrounding 10,000 meters was instantly annihilated, and a massive crater appeared. The sky was dyed rainbow-colored and clouds swirled as terrifying auras flooded out, causing the entire world to tremble. Standing at the center of the aura flame, Zhao Fu's eyes gave off a rainbow-colored light, and a ring of rainbow-colored runes appeared around Zhao Fu. Right now, Zhao Fu was like a celestial, unrestricted by the world's laws. Time seemed to stop around him, and space twisted around him. Every trace of his aura seemed to contain the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. Sensing Zhao Fu's terrifying power, the dwarf felt quite shocked because he sensed a power that only a celestial could have. However, this person only had harmony realm cultivation. How could he have the power of a celestial? The people on the viewing platforms and in the surroundings gulped in shock. They had never thought that Zhao Fu had been hiding such terrifying power. Zhao Fu's expression was cold, and there was not a trace of emotion in his eyes. He slowly stretched out a hand and vigorously grabbed at the air, and the rainbow-colored aura flame continuously gathered, forming an illusory, celestial sword made of aura flames. Zhao Fu looked at the dwarf, causing the dwarf to feel quite startled and unable to react. By then, Zhao Fu had appeared in front of him, and his sword gave off silent power as it slashed against the 4-colored barrier. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as the dwarf felt as if he had been hit by an entire world. His body quickly fell and heavily crashed into the ground like a meteor, and a terrifying shockwave rippled out, causing the ground and the surrounding tens of thousands of meters to collapse. Chapter 1695. The people on the viewing platforms and in the surroundings looked incredibly shocked. That person's eternal protection had been destroyed in a single strike. That person's power was simply unimaginable and was simply too terrifying. Was this really power that a mortal could control? Everyone present gasped in shock at the sight of this sword. They had not expected that this person would still be hiding such terrifying strength at this time. How would the dwarf deal with this terrifying, celestial-like person? His greatest trump card, eternal protection, had been destroyed in a single strike. Everyone's gazes were focused on the battlefield. The dwarf's face became pale. He had never thought that this person would be so terrifying and be able to destroy eternal protection, which could block all attacks. Facing such a terrifying person, what could he do? Zhao Fu held the rainbow-colored aura flame sword and pointed it at the dwarf as he said, "Fight or surrender?" The dwarf hesitated. With his current strength, he could not defeat Zhao Fu at all. Rather than being heavily injured and retreating, it was better to admit defeat. As such, he sighed and said, "I admit defeat, and I'll give you 1/3 of my points." Right after he spoke, Zhao Fu received a system announcement that he had obtained 1/3 of the dwarf's points, and he felt a massive amount of fate flow into him. Zhao Fu did not do much. Since he had defeated the dwarf, Zhao Fu turned into a ray of light and disappeared over the horizon. He then returned to where he had been to recover from his injuries. That person really won and defeated one of the 3 legendary people. He's simply too powerful. Countless people could not help but cry out in excitement. Now, that person was going to become a legend, and in the future, all Outlanders would know of his existence. Those who had thought that it would be impossible for Zhao Fu to defeat the dwarf were all dumbfounded. They had never thought that Zhao Fu, who was only in the Harmony realm, would actually be able to win. This was completely out of their expectations. Now, Zhao Fu's fame had reached its peak and surpassed the first-ranked Sun Elf, and he was the center of attention. After Zhao Fu returned to where he had been, the women excitedly waited for Zhao Fu. After all, their man had broken a legend and become an existence that countless people looked up to. He had become a legendary figure in countless people's hearts. Zhao Fu first recovered from his injuries, and after lingering with the women for a while, he started to challenge the second-ranked Medusa. Medusa looked at Zhao Fu seriously. This man in front of her gave her an unfathomable feeling and was incredibly terrifying. She did not dare to be careless, and she officially listed Zhao Fu as her opponent, an existence on the same level as the Sun Elf. Zhao Fu's eyes lit up, and his eyes lit up. Zhao Fu looked at the beautiful Medusa in front of him. She had a beautiful face, tender skin, and long green hair. With her peerless beauty, she was at least in the top 3. However, Zhao Fu's mind was not on this. He drew the emperor-killing sword and said, "There's no need to say anything else. Let's begin." Medusa snorted and stretched out her hand. A blood-red, 3-pointed bone trident appeared in her hand. Boom! A powerful azure aura flame burst forth from Medusa's body, turning into wild gales that blew over, bringing with them an eerie and evil aura. Boom! Seeing this, Zhao Fu did not hesitate and exploded out with his own power. A black aura flame erupted around his body, and a powerful gale blew out. Shing! Zhao Fu was the first to attack, and a massive black sword light containing ferocious power slashed towards Medusa. Medusa casually waved her bone trident, and a blood-red arc of light containing shocking power shot toward Zhao Fu. Bang! The two attacks collided, resulting in an enormous explosion. Cold light shot everywhere, and a powerful gale spread out. Zhao Fu leapt forwards into the air, and the emperor-killing sword gave off boundless sword light and terrifying power as it slashed down towards Medusa, drawing out a massive arc of light. Medusa did not move at all, and her bone trident gave off a terrifying blood-red light. She vigorously swung it, sending out a massive blood-red crescent toward Zhao Fu. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two attacks collided, resulting in a shocking shockwave. The ground instantly collapsed, and Zhao Fu was knocked back 10 or so meters while Medusa did not move at all. Zhao Fu's expression was serious. This Medusa was indeed more powerful than the dwarves. He did not hold back, and a powerful black aura flame erupted, sending out a massive gale. Zhao Fu once again used his divine bloodline's power. Medusa's expression was cold as she sent a powerful wave of power into her bone trident and stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Boom! 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 The 3 blood-red rays of light gave off terrifying, piercing power as they shot toward Zhao Fu incredibly quickly, tearing through the air in an instant. Zhao Fu held the emperor-killing sword and lightly cried out, "Sword Master!" An extremely sharp sword chi exploded out from the emperor-killing sword, sending out a powerful storm of sword chi. Zhao Fu gripped the emperor-killing sword and vigorously slashed out, sending out a sharp black arc of light. Bang! 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 The 3 blood-red rays of light were slashed apart by Zhao Fu's sword, turning into countless rays of blood-red light that shot out in all directions. Suddenly, Medusa appeared in front of Zhao Fu and swung her bone trident, giving off immense power as she slammed it toward Zhao Fu, causing the air to explode. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and blocked with his sword. Bang! Zhao Fu felt a massive force hit him, and his body was sent flying dozens of meters before he stopped, and his expression became even more serious. Roar! 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 9 massive dragons' roars sounded out from within Zhao Fu's body, and a terrifying power spread out, causing the ground to crack. Zhao Fu raised the emperor-killing sword, and 9 massive, savage black dragons giving off terrifying power appeared behind Zhao Fu. They gave off an incredibly powerful dragon's might, and the surrounding space seemed to sink, causing people to feel terror. Medusa's expression was cold as she raised her bone trident, and an even more massive azure aura flame flowed out, bringing with it wild gales. The massive azure aura flame continuously changed, forming a massive azure snake that gave off an incredibly terrifying aura. Its azure eyes looked at Zhao Fu, giving off a chilling intent that could cause one's hairs to stand on end. Boom! Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and the 9 black dragons gave off terrifying power and ferocious auras as they rushed towards Medusa. Boom! Medusa also slashed out with her bone trident, and the azure snake gave off terrifying power and an eerie aura as it shot out like a bolt of lightning, giving off a massive explosion. Bang! Chapter 1696. Zhao Fu was blasted back by the shockwaves and crashed to the ground. A trace of blood leaked out of his lips, and he was slightly injured. Medusa stood where she was, and an azure energy barrier appeared around her, blocking all of the shockwaves. She was not injured at all, and her expression was cold as she vigorously swung her bone trident. An azure crescent containing terrifying power slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu hurriedly dodged to the side, avoiding this attack. Bang! The azure crescent slammed into the ground, resulting in a massive explosion. Rocks flew everywhere, and a massive crack appeared on the ground. Boom! Zhao Fu's right hand quickly spun, and a massive wave of ghostly chi flowed out, turning into countless malicious ghosts that flooded towards Medusa. Facing the countless ferocious ghosts, Medusa expressionlessly raised her bone trident, and a terrifying wave of power flowed into it, causing a powerful azure light to shine out from the tip of the bone trident. Swish, 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 countless streaks of azure light containing sharp power shot out in all directions. There were countless streaks of azure light. The sound they gave off were quite shocking. The azure rays of light easily pierced through the malicious ghost bodies, causing them to howl as their bodies turned into ghostly chi and dissipated. When the azure rays of light hit the ground, they left behind holes that were a few meters deep, looking quite shocking. SSS. A long hiss sounded out as Medusa once again swung her bone trident, and a massive azure snake suddenly appeared, giving off a cold and eerie power as it shot toward Zhao Fu like a bolt of lightning. Zhao Fu was unable to react in time and was sent flying, crashing into a large tree, causing many cracks to appear on the tree. Leaves fell like rain, and Zhao Fu coughed up a large mouthful of blood. If you don't use the power that you use to defeat the dwarves, it's impossible for you to defeat me. Medusa's voice was cold as she said confidently to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt a trace of coldness in his heart, and he understood how powerful Medusa was. If he did not use Celestial Mode's power, he would not be able to defeat her. So he said, "As you wish. Celestial Mode, activate." Boom! A massive rainbow-colored aura flame erupted around Zhao Fu's body, rushing 10 or so meters into the air and creating powerful gales. Zhao Fu's eyes gave off a rainbow-colored light, and a rainbow-colored rune circle appeared with Zhao Fu at the center, and a celestial-like might covered the surroundings. Sensing this wave of power, Medusa felt quite shocked. She understood that it was this wave of power that had defeated the third-ranked treasure dwarf. Boom! Medusa did not hide anything and also exploded out with a terrifying aura. A massive green aura flame erupted around her body, bringing with it wild gales, and an eerie and evil power spread out like a flood. Zhao Fu held the Emperor-killing sword, and a massive wave of power flowed into it, causing the Emperor-killing sword to burn with a rainbow-colored aura flame. It gave off a terrifying sword aura, and with this power, Zhao Fu rushed towards Medusa. Medusa sent a massive amount of power into her bone trident, causing it to give off an intense green light and give off a terrifying aura. Medusa also rushed towards Zhao Fu with this power. Zhao Fu slashed towards Medusa with that terrifying power, sending out a rainbow-colored sword light that seemed to be able to destroy all things. Medusa vigorously swung her bone trident, giving off an extremely terrifying power as she slashed towards Zhao Fu, bringing with it an intense green light. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the two terrifying powers collided, causing a terrifying shockwave to spread out. The shockwave contained shocking power as it flashed past, causing the ground, trees, and rocks to all shatter. A massive gale was created, causing countless trees to sway and sand to fly everywhere, making it seem like a disaster. Both of them were sent back dozens of meters by the impact, and blood leaked out of their mouths as they looked at each other seriously. SSSS. 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 Medusa vigorously swung her bone trident, and three massive green snakes gave off terrifying power as they shot towards Zhao Fu like bolts of lightning. Zhao Fu slashed out, sending out a sharp sword light that split open the first green snake's head. The second snake opened its mouth and ferociously bit towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu slashed out and a sword light shot out, slashing into the snake's mouth and splitting it in half. The final snake gave off ferocious power as it slammed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu gripped his fist, and a rainbow-colored aura flame covered his fist. He vigorously punched out, sending out a terrifying power that seemed to be able to shatter boulders. Bang! The power slammed into the incoming snake, causing it to explode into countless motes of green light and dissipate. Suddenly, Medusa's body appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and her bone trident gave off a ray of light as it stabbed towards Zhao Fu with terrifying power, bringing with it a powerful gale. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and blocked with his sword in front of him. He quickly exploded out with a rainbow-colored aura flame, forming a firm rainbow-colored energy barrier. Bang! The bone trident gave off shocking power as it slammed into the rainbow-colored energy barrier, resulting in a muffled explosion. The rainbow-colored energy barrier shattered, and Zhao Fu's body flew back and crashed to the ground as he coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Medusa gave a trace of a cold smile as she leaned forwards and shot towards Zhao Fu like a ray of green light. Zhao Fu looked furious as he half-squatted on the ground and gathered a massive amount of power in his palm, causing it to give off a rainbow-colored light. He ferociously pressed it against the ground, causing a massive sound to ring out. At the same time, the golden pupil in Zhao Fu's left eye quickly spun. Clang, clang, clang. Rainbow-colored chains containing great power shot out from the ground towards Medusa. There were many of them, at least 100,000 of them, creating a shocking scene. Medusa felt quite startled. Facing the countless rainbow-colored chains, she sent a massive amount of power into her bone trident, causing it to give off a blinding green light. Medusa vigorously swung it, and a terrifying green crescent containing destructive power slashed out. Bang! 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 The green crescent gave off terrifying power as it slashed the countless rainbow-colored chains into pieces, causing them to fly everywhere. However, there were still many rainbow-colored chains that shot out from the side and bound up Medusa's body. Boom! A terrifying power exploded out from Medusa's body. The azure aura flames around Medusa's body doubled in size, and the countless chains binding her shattered under that terrifying power. However, Zhao Fu appeared in front of her, and his sword gave off an enormous rainbow-colored sword light as it slashed towards Medusa. Medusa panicked and immediately used her bone trident to block in front of her body, and an azure energy barrier appeared around her. Bang! Chapter 1697. Boom! Medusa furiously crawled up from the ground and exploded out with an incredibly powerful aura. Countless traces of azure aura flooded out like a flood, bringing with them an extremely cold and evil power. An eerie and cold aura spread throughout the heavens and earth, making people feel as if they had fallen into an icy cavern. All of their hairs stood on end, and they felt terror. The green mist-like aura continuously turned into 1-meter-long snakes that slithered toward Zhao Fu. There were hundreds of thousands of them, and they seemed to cover the heavens and earth as they attacked Zhao Fu, creating a terrifying scene. Zhao Fu's expression was quite serious as he raised the Emperor Killing Sword, and a rainbow-colored sword light shot into the sky. Massive amounts of heaven and earth power continuously gathered, forming a massive whirlpool. A rainbow-colored sword formation giving off terrifying power appeared. As the sword descended, the rainbow-colored magic formation started to spin and give off a faint light as a destructive aura spread out. Boom, boom, boom. Rays of rainbow-colored sword light, giving off world-destroying power, slashed towards Medusa. The heavens and earth continuously trembled as spatial cracks appeared, creating a terrifying scene. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the countless rays of sword light collided with a flood of small snakes. A terrifying shockwave blasted out, bringing with it a power that could destroy everything. The ground, trees, flowers, grass, and boulders all shattered. A gale quickly spread out, carrying with it countless rocks and sand. Countless trees swayed and boulders rolled, creating a shocking scene. A crater that was tens of thousands of meters wide appeared in the ground, and the people on the viewing platforms looked at this terrifying scene in shock and excitement. Sensing those terrifying ripples, the countless people in the surroundings looked incredibly excited and gathered. They understood that those terrifying ripples were from the mysterious person challenging the second-ranked genius. When they arrived and saw the horrifying scene, they were also shocked. Within the crater, Zhao Fu and Medusa both had a few wounds on their bodies, for which blood flowed out. Their auras were quite weak, and it seemed that their injuries were not light. Boom! A massive green aura flame once again appeared around Medusa's body, and a terrifying power spread out as Medusa vigorously swung her bone trident. Hiss, hiss, hiss! The hundreds of 1,000-meter-long green snakes gave off massive hisses and gave off immense power as they flooded toward Zhao Fu, giving off destructive power. Zhao Fu roared as an even more powerful rainbow-colored aura flame exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, covering the surrounding 10,000 meters. In that instant, the ground in the surrounding 10,000 meters completely collapsed. Zhao Fu raised the sword in his hand, and countless rainbow-colored aura flames gathered and flowed into the Emperor Killing Sword, causing it to burn with an intense aura flame. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed out with his sword, giving off a massive explosion. A world-destroying sword energy slashed out, turning the ground, space, rocks, and everything else into dust. It was unstoppable and unstoppable. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the terrifying sword energy collided with the hundreds of 1,000-meter-long snakes, resulting in a terrifying explosion. It was as if a massive energy barrier had appeared, causing the ground to continuously tremble as terrifying auras spread out. After everything settled, Zhao Fu and Medusa lay on the ground, covered with blood, and their auras had become even weaker. Both of them had suffered from 2 massive attacks. If it was an ordinary person, they would have died after only taking 1 attack. Everyone looked at the 2 of them in shock and thought to themselves, as expected from a battle between 2 geniuses, just a casual attack from them could destroy the heavens and earth. Seeing that both of them were heavily injured, did this mean that the battle was over? Had the 2 of them fought to a draw? Just as everyone thought to themselves, boom, a massive aura flame continued to burn as a powerful energy exploded out, causing a wild gale to blow into the air. Zhao Fu once again stood up from the ground. Everyone felt quite delighted. If Zhao Fu could stand up, the victor of this battle would be Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu would have successfully challenged the second-ranked genius and would receive even more respect and admiration. Boom! A terrifying green aura flame burst forth, bringing with it an incredibly terrifying power. An eerie gale spread out, and the Medusa crawled up from the ground. One was a black aura flame that dyed the surroundings black, while the other was an azure aura flame that dyed the surroundings azure. The two aura flames continuously clashed, sending out even more intense gales that caused the heavens and earth to change colors and clouds to swirl. In just an instant, Zhao Fu dragged the Emperor Killing Sword and gave off a terrifying aura as he rushed at Medusa, slashing out powerful sword lights. Medusa held her bone trident and gave off terrifying power as she rushed at Zhao Fu, slashing out crescents that gave off immense destructive power. Boom, boom, boom. The two terrifying powers continuously clashed, causing loud sounds to ring out. Powerful shock waves spread out, causing the ground to continuously crumble. Ark! Zhao Fu roared and exploded out with all of his divine power, sending it into the Emperor Killing Sword. The Emperor Killing Sword gave off an intense sword light, and Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out. An incredibly sharp sword intent containing enough power to slash apart worlds slashed towards Medusa. Ark! Medusa cried out and exploded out with all of her power. The bone trident in her hand ignited with an enormous aura flame, and Medusa vigorously slashed out. A powerful destructive power blasted out, causing space to seem to shatter and countless cracks to appear. Bang! The two powers clashed together, resulting in a massive sound, and both of them were sent flying back by the shockwave. Medusa coughed up a large mouthful of blood. After a while, the two of them got up again and looked at each other solemnly. Swish! Medusa held her bone trident and gave off a powerful aura as she shot out like a bolt of lightning. The bone trident gave off terrifying power as it stabbed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu did not move, and the bone trident pierced through Zhao Fu's chest with shocking power. A muffled explosion sounded out, and a fist-sized bloody hole appeared, causing blood to fly everywhere. This caused Medusa and everyone else to feel quite startled, unable to understand what had happened. How could Zhao Fu have been killed so easily? With such an injury to his chest, he would have died without a doubt. It's such a pity that such a terrifying figure died, just like that. Countless people were in disbelief. Zhao Fu's corpse slowly fell to the ground before suddenly disappearing, and a strange figure appeared behind Medusa. Medusa felt quite startled and could not react in time. Fu! Zhao Fu held the Emperor Killing Sword and stabbed it through Medusa's abdomen. His left eye became a glass pupil that gave off boundless glass light. Chapter 1698. Everyone once again looked quite confused. They had never thought that Zhao Fu, who had just been killed, would suddenly appear behind Medusa and turn the tables. Some of the more powerful people said that Zhao Fu had used an extremely powerful illusion to deceive everyone's eyes. Everyone in the surroundings felt quite shocked. This illusion was simply too powerful. You can actually affect these people who are outside. The Medusa Empire's people all let out sighs of relief. Fortunately, Zhao Fu had not stabbed any of Medusa's vitals, or else her life might have been in danger. Losing such an extraordinary genius was a massive loss to the Empire. They felt quite grateful toward Zhao Fu because they understood that Zhao Fu had held back, or else Medusa would not have been able to escape from the secret realm. Now that the second-ranked Medusa had been defeated, countless people became even more excited. That person was the second-ranked genius of the Outlander race, and was only below the Sun Elf. He had become a legend and was worshipped by countless people. The spectator stands were boiling with excitement. Loud noises reverberated in all directions. Even those who were far away could hear the commotion and feel the excitement. By now, almost everyone knew of his existence, and they could see a resplendent star slowly rising up, illuminating the surroundings. Everyone felt incredibly respectful and did not feel unconvinced at all. It was impossible for them to have such monstrous power as Zhao Fu. At the same time, They felt incredibly happy because Zhao Fu, with his mediocre status, had defeated the 9 geniuses. This caused those who were not as powerful as the 9 geniuses to feel incredibly excited, and it gave them even greater encouragement. This was the first time such a terrifying person had appeared in history. After this, that person would definitely cause massive waves among the Outlander race. Under countless people's gazes of admiration, and fear, Zhao Fu returned to his original place, covered in injuries. After coming to where they were before, the women did not dare to disturb Zhao Fu because they knew that their man had just defeated the second-ranked genius of the 10 great geniuses, a legendary figure. Even with their status, they were still shocked by this matter. They couldn't help but feel endless admiration for Zhao Fu. At the same time, they rejoiced that they had such a terrifying man. For days later, Zhao Fu slowly opened his eyes. The countless totems on his back seemed to come to life, flowing around Zhao Fu's back and giving off all sorts of lights. After defeating Medusa, Zhao Fu once again obtained a massive amount of Outlander fate, and he was one step closer to breaking through. Now, only one of the top 10 geniuses remained, and that was the owner of the Outlander Emperor's Star. He was a legend of the Outlander race, and he was someone who could not be surpassed. Not only were countless people in the stands looking forward to this battle, waiting quietly, countless people in the secret realm also came to the center of the secret realm to wait. They knew that the final battle would erupt here. The Sun Elf had a golden sword at his waist and was dressed in golden clothes. He had long, golden hair and peerlessly handsome looks. He looked like a high and mighty, godly spirit, and he gave off an incredibly noble aura that mortals could not blaspheme. The Sun Elf followed the guidance of that power and waited for Zhao Fu. He had a trace of a confident smile on his face. He knew that Zhao Fu had defeated 9 geniuses, but Zhao Fu was still unable to defeat him, as he was an undefeatable existence. The 9 geniuses that Zhao Fu had defeated were also gathered here, waiting for the final battle to begin. The elephant person said somewhat nervously, "Do you think that person can defeat the Sun Elf?" The elephant person was the first genius to be defeated by Zhao Fu, and he had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so powerful. The other 8 geniuses had all been defeated by him. Yuluo said somewhat angrily, "I don't think it's possible. Outsiders don't know how powerful the Sun Elf is, but we know just how terrifying he is. I also want the Sun Elf to teach that bastard a lesson." The dwarf also laughed as he said, "I also think that the Sun Elf will win. He's one of the top 10 geniuses and is on our side. I don't want to hear that the Outlander race's top 10 geniuses have all been defeated by a single person, nor do I want to become someone else's stepping stone." The lion person's expression was somewhat serious as he said, "I hope so. That boy isn't simple either, but he's been hiding his power. Who knows what other terrifying power he's hiding?" Medusa said seriously, "I'm not sure who will win. Both of them are unfathomable, and only a battle will determine a victor." The ogre loudly laughed as he said, "I think the Sun Elf will definitely win. He's an unsurpassable existence within the Outlander race, and he won't lose to the geniuses of the other domains at all." Hubaime harumphed and said, "Even though I want to see that bastard get taught a lesson, I'm also looking forward to seeing if he can defeat the Sun Elf, who's an ultimate realm expert. If he really wins, I might give him a chance." It was not just the geniuses who were discussing this matter. Everyone else was also intensely debating who would win. Some people stood on the Sun Elf side, believing that the Sun Elf had the Outlander Emperor's Star and was an unparalleled existence. No matter how strong that person was, he would definitely lose to the Sun Elf and would not be able to defeat him. Some people stood on Zhao Fu's side, believing that Zhao Fu had a mysterious background and might be able to defeat the Sun Elf. After all, he had defeated Medusa, so it was not impossible for him to defeat the Sun Elf. The terrifying major figures on the viewing platforms were also paying great attention to this battle. This battle would be the most anticipated battle in recent years, and it might be the most terrifying and intense battle. As for who would win, Most people supported the Sun Elf because they understood how terrifying the Emperor's star was. Even though Zhao Fu was mysterious, no one knew his true strength. Now countless people were gathered here, and their gazes were all gathered here. They were all waiting for the battle to begin, and their hearts were filled with anticipation and excitement. A person wearing a black cloak and giving off an ordinary aura slowly arrived on the battlefield. Immediately, everyone fell silent and did not even dare to breathe loudly. Countless people's gazes fell on Zhao Fu's body, understanding that this battle was about to begin. The Sun Elf's golden eyes fell on Zhao Fu's body, and he said with a trace of confidence and pride, "You're very strong, but you're not a match for me. If your cultivation rises to the peak of the divine realm, perhaps you'll have a slight chance." Chapter 1699. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out, and facing the Sun Elf, Zhao Fu felt an unprecedented pressure. He did not hold back and immediately exploded out with all of his power. A 100-meter wide black and blood-red aura flame burst forth from Zhao Fu's body, and a terrifying aura spread out, causing a massive gale to sweep out. The ground started to crack, and countless trees and grasses swayed. Boom! A trace of a condescending smile appeared on the Sun Elf's face as he drew the golden sword at his waist. A pure golden aura flame gave off a blinding golden light as it burst forth from the Sun Elf's body, and a terrifying power spread out. Swish! The two of them instantly disappeared and reappeared between the two of them. Zhao Fu's sword gave off a sharp sword light as he slashed towards the Sun Elf, while the Sun Elf's sword also gave off terrifying power as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two swords clashed together, and a shockwave blasted out, sending out wild gales. The Sun Elf gave a condescending smile and vigorously swung his sword, forcing Zhao Fu back 5 or 6 steps. He then raised his sword and vigorously slashed out, causing a golden sword light to give off terrifying power as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu instantly sent large amounts of power into the Emperor-killing sword, causing it to give off an intense sword light. He vigorously slashed out, and a terrifying black sword light containing sharp power slashed towards the Sun Elf. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two sword lights collided, resulting in a massive explosion. Sword light shot everywhere, and a terrifying shockwave spread out. Zhao Fu was forced back a few steps, but the Sun Elf did not move at all. He continued to give a condescending smile as he raised his sword and sent terrifying power into it. The sword gave off a golden aura flame as he vigorously slashed out. Boom! An enormous golden sword light containing shocking power slashed toward Zhao Fu. It was incredibly terrifying, and it brought with it a powerful sword wind, leaving behind a 1-meter deep and 2 meters wide sword gash in the ground. Zhao Fu shouted, "Sword Master!" A massive and sharp sword intent exploded out from the Emperor-killing sword, giving off terrifying power. Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, and a terrifying black sword light containing that sharp sword intent slashed forwards. Bang! A massive explosion sounded out as the two sword lights exploded, resulting in a shocking shockwave. A massive crater that was dozens of meters wide was blasted into the ground, causing rocks to fly everywhere. Zhao Fu once again retreated 10 or so steps before being able to resist the impact. Suddenly, the Sun Elf appeared in front of Zhao Fu and gave a trace of a cold smile as his sword gave off golden light and a terrifying power as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and raised his sword in front of him. Bang! With a dull thud, Zhao Fu was sent flying dozens of meters away. He fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Arg! Zhao Fu roared and crawled up from the ground. A massive black aura flame flowed out of his body, giving off a massive explosion. Zhao Fu raised his sword and sent a wave of power into it. Roar! 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 Massive dragon's roars containing terrifying power sounded out as 9 massive black dragons appeared behind Zhao Fu. A powerful dragon tail spread out, shaking the surroundings. Boom! Zhao Fu slashed down, and the 9 black dragons gave off terrifying power and shocking auras as they rushed towards the Sun Elf. No one could stop them. Roar! Facing the 9 black dragons, the Sun Elf gave a disdainful smile and raised his sword. A massive wave of power flowed into it, and a golden lizard-like dragon with a pair of golden wings gave off a massive roar. Boom! The Sun Elf vigorously slashed out, and the golden dragon flapped its wings, giving off a golden gale and a terrifying might as it rushed toward Zhao Fu. Bang! A massive explosion once again sounded out as the black dragon and golden dragon collided, resulting in a massive explosion. A powerful shockwave spread out, causing the ground to collapse. Countless trees were uprooted and rocks were blown away, and a 100-meter-wide crater was instantly formed. Suddenly, Zhao Fu appeared behind the Sun Elf, and his sword gave off terrifying sword energy as he slashed towards the Sun Elf. The Sun Elf gave a confident smile as he turned and slashed out, giving off a shocking golden sword light. However, at that moment, Zhao Fu shouted, "Celestial mode, activate!" Boom! A massive rainbow-colored aura flame erupted around Zhao Fu's body as Zhao Fu's eyes gave off rainbow-colored light. A rainbow-colored rune circle appeared around Zhao Fu, and the Emperor Killing Sword in his hand also gave off a rainbow-colored aura flame, giving off a sword energy that seemed to be able to destroy all things. Sensing this terrifying power, the Sun Elf was given a big fright and could not react in time. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the Sun Elf was sent flying back 10 or so meters and crashed to the ground. He tasted a sweetness in his throat, and a trace of blood leaked out of his mouth. The Sun Elf's expression was cold as he crawled up from the ground, and an even more intense and resplendent golden light, bringing with it a terrifying power, shot out from his body as he charged at Zhao Fu. A rainbow-colored aura flame ignited around Zhao Fu's body, and he gave off an otherworldly aura as he rushed towards the Sun Elf. Bang, 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 bang. Massive sounds rang out as the Sun Elf sent massive amounts of power into his sword, sending out terrifying sword lights that ferociously slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu also sent terrifying power into his sword, causing sharp sword lights to fly out and continuously slash towards the Sun Elf. The two sword lights continuously clashed, causing sword lights to shoot everywhere. Powerful gales spread out, and the ground gradually cracked before collapsing. The Sun Elf coldly harumphed, and an even more powerful golden light shined out from his body. He slashed out with even greater power, sending Zhao Fu flying back 10 or so meters. Zhao Fu stopped flying back, and the golden pupil in his left eye quickly spun as a terrifying aura exploded out. Clang, 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 rainbow-colored chains giving off incredibly ferocious power shot towards the Sun Elf from all directions. They were incredibly fast, and there were many of them. There were at least 100,000 of them. Shing! The Sun Elf sent massive amounts of power into his sword, causing it to give off a dangerous aura. He vigorously slashed out, and a sword light containing terrifying power slashed out, instantly cutting the countless chains into pieces. Boom! Chapter 1700. The Sun Elf was given a big fright and immediately raised his sword to block. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the Sun Elf blocked Zhao Fu's attack. The ground beneath his feet was struck by a massive shockwave and cracked. Ark! Zhao Fu loudly roared and exploded out with even more power. The rainbow aura flame around his body became even brighter as he vigorously slashed towards the Sun Elf. Ark! The Sun Elf roared and activated his body's power. An even more terrifying power flowed out of his body as he vigorously slashed toward Zhao Fu. Bang! The two waves of power collided, resulting in two blinding lights. Both of them were affected by the collision and were both forced back 6 or 7 steps. Bang! 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 In the next second, the two of them gave off immense power as they rushed at each other. Their swords gave off terrifying power as they slashed towards each other, giving off massive sounds. Suddenly, a massive wave of power flowed into the black and blood-red sword pupil in Zhao Fu's left eye. The sword pupil gave off a faint light, and a dangerous aura spread out. Shing, 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 a massive wave of black and blood-red sword chi flowed out, bringing with it a power that seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth as it continuously flowed towards the Sun Elf. It was incredibly fast and incredibly sharp, and it was unstoppable. Sensing this incoming sword chi, the Sun Elf felt a chill in his heart and immediately released a golden defensive barrier around his body. Bang! The Sun Elf flew backwards and the defensive barrier shattered. The Sun Elf coughed up a mouthful of blood as a few parts of his body had been cut open by the sword chi. Blood flowed out, making the Sun Elf look quite wretched. Ark! The Sun Elf raised his head and roared as a terrifying power spread out from his body. The golden light around his body became even more intense and covered the surroundings as a golden elf image slowly appeared behind the Sun Elf, and a shocking aura spread out like a flood. Boom! The Sun Elf gave off a powerful aura as he rushed over and quickly arrived in front of Zhao Fu. His sword gave off terrifying power and gave off a ferocious sword wind as it slashed towards Zhao Fu, leaving behind a golden gash. The golden shadow behind him synchronized with the Sun Elf's movements and slashed out with a shadow sword. Zhao Fu sent large amounts of power into the Emperor Killing Sword, causing it to give off an intense sword light. A sharp sword chi storm spread out, and Zhao Fu vigorously slashed out, sending out an enormous black sword light with shocking power. Bang! The two swords collided, resulting in a massive sound. A powerful shock wave spread out, causing the ground to collapse and countless rocks to fly everywhere. In the next moment, Zhao Fu's body was also sent flying. He flew back dozens of meters and smashed into a large rock, directly shattering it. Zhao Fu felt a pain in his chest and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Clang! Zhao Fu furiously crawled up from the ground and raised the Emperor Killing Sword. A rainbow-colored sword light shot into the sky, and massive amounts of heaven and earth power madly gathered, forming an enormous whirlpool. A rainbow-colored sword formation giving off shocking sword intent appeared and gave off sharp power as it quickly spread out, causing the heavens and earth to seem to freeze. Sensing this terrifying power, the Sun Elf raised his sword and pointed it towards the sky. Boom! A massive golden aura flowed into the sky and condensed into an orb of light. Countless traces of heaven and earth power continuously gathered and flowed into the golden orb of light. The golden orb of light continuously became larger and gave off even more terrifying power. It was like a golden sun, and golden light shined in all directions, dyeing the sky golden. Zhao Fu's sword descended, and the rainbow-color magic formation gave off terrifying power as it slowly spun and gave off a faint light. An aura of destruction spread out like a flood. Boom! 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 Massive rainbow-colored sword lights containing world-destroying power slashed down from the sky, seeming to be unstoppable as they slashed towards the Sun Elf. Cracks appeared in the heavens and earth, making it seem incredibly difficult to deal with. Boom! The Sun Elf also slashed down, and the golden sun in the sky gave off destructive power and a massive aura as it flew toward Zhao Fu. The golden light seemed to cover everything. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as countless rays of blinding light spread out, causing the heavens and earth to turn white. A massive destructive power spread out, causing the ground, trees, grass, rocks, and everything else to shatter. A massive shockwave turned into a wild gale that blasted out countless trees and boulders. Countless trees were destroyed and boulders rolled, looking like a natural disaster. A massive crater that was tens of thousands of meters wide appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Seeing this scene, countless people felt quite startled and felt a sense of fear towards the battle between these two geniuses. With such terrifying power, it was no less than expected from a top-tier battle. Within the crater, a trace of blood leaked out of Zhao Fu and the Sun Elf's mouths as they climbed up from the ground. Boom! Boom! Two explosions simultaneously sounded out as the two of them once again exploded out with powerful auras as they charged at each other. Zhao Fu's sword gave off an incredibly sharp sword light as it slashed towards the Sun Elf, while the Sun Elf sword also slashed out with terrifying power. The golden image behind him was still present, and it also slashed out. Shing! A metallic collision sound rang out as the two swords collided, resulting in countless sparks and a massive gale. Suddenly, Zhao Fu felt a massive wave of power rush at him, and he was forced back a few steps. The Sun Elf immediately slashed out, giving off a ferocious sword light as it slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stood there and did not move at all, and his glassy eye gave off a beautiful glassy light. Pooh! That sword slashed Zhao Fu's body into a few pieces, causing blood to fly out and his corpse to fall to the ground. The Sun Elf did not dare to be careless. He did not believe that such a powerful person would be killed so easily. Suddenly, the Sun Elf sensed something and slashed backwards, sending out a golden sword light that slashed behind him. Pooh! A figure was cut in half at the waist by that sword light, causing blood to fly out and a corpse to fall to the ground. Seeing this scene, the Sun Elf sensed it and found that it had been affected by an illusion. An intense golden light spread out from the Sun Elf's body, causing him to break free from the strange illusion. Boom! At that moment, Zhao Fu appeared in front of him, and his sword gave off terrifying power as it slashed towards the Sun Elf, drawing out a rainbow-colored gash. Bang! Chapter 17:01. Ark. The Sun Elf furiously roared and exploded out with terrifying power. A golden blood-red flame erupted around the Sun Elf's body, and a golden gale spread out, causing the ground to continuously crack. The Sun Elf's injuries quickly recovered, and his wounds also quickly healed. As an elf, he had a great advantage in terms of life force. Boom! The golden image behind the Sun Elf raised its sword, and a massive golden sword light rushed into the sky, turning into a terrifying pillar of sword chi. Countless arcs of golden lightning exploded out, and a world-destroying power flooded out. Sensing this power, Zhao Fu felt quite startled and roared as he exploded out with his celestial mode's power. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as a rainbow-colored aura flame rushed out, giving off a shocking aura as it covered the surrounding 10,000 meters. A terrifying power spread out, and the ground in the surrounding 10,000 meters instantly collapsed. Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killing Sword, and countless rainbow-colored aura flames gathered and flowed into the Emperor Killing Sword, causing it to burn with an intense rainbow-colored aura flame and give off world-destroying power. The surrounding space twisted as a massive storm of sword chi blew out. Boom! The Sun Elf raised his sword and heavily slashed down, sending out a massive golden sword light that seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. It slashed towards Zhao Fu, causing long cracks to appear in space. Boom! Zhao Fu raised the Emperor Killing Sword and vigorously slashed out, sending out a terrifying rainbow sword energy that seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and earth. Everything in front of it was instantly reduced to dust, and nothing could stop it. Bang! A shocking explosion sounded out as the two massive sword lights clashed together, giving off unimaginable destructive power. A massive shockwave containing destructive power blasted out like a bolt of lightning. The ground, the mountains, the grass, the trees, and the rocks all shattered in that instant. The clouds in the sky seemed to have been swept away by an enormous power and instantly dissipated, revealing a cloudless blue sky. A 100,000-meter-wide crater appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Countless people stared at this scene in shock as their bodies trembled uncontrollably. This was a battle between geniuses. It was simply too terrifying, too shocking. They were definitely lucky to be able to witness such a terrifying battle. The 9 geniuses who were watching the battle from the outside felt quite shocked. The intensity of the battle had long since surpassed their own battles. Bang! Bang! 2 explosions rang out, and 2 piles of rocks exploded. Rocks flew everywhere, and 2 people with chi flames appeared. Boom! There were also 6 gray dots in Zhao Fu's cross-shaped pupil in his right eye, and a massive wave of ghostly chi flowed out, turning into malicious ghosts that gave off shocking auras as they flooded towards the Sun Elf. The Sun Elf vigorously swung the sword in his hand, and a massive sword light slashed out, slashing the malicious ghosts in half and causing them to dissipate into ghostly chi. Zhao Fu used this opportunity to rush in front of the Sun Elf, and his sword gave off a sharp sword light as he slashed toward the Sun Elf's throat. The Sun Elf used his sword to block Zhao Fu's attack. Suddenly, the golden elf image behind the Sun Elf also swung its sword, sending out a terrifying sword light toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite startled and unleashed a defensive barrier. Bang! The defensive barrier was shattered by the sword light, and Zhao Fu's body was sent flying back. He crashed dozens of meters away, and a gash appeared on his chest from which blood continuously flowed out. Swish! The Sun Elf appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and his sword gave off a terrifying sword light as it ferociously slashed toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu immediately dodged to the side, avoiding this attack. Bang! The sword light slammed into the ground, causing it to seem as if it had been hit by a massive force. A 10-meter-wide crater appeared, and Zhao Fu was forced back a few steps. Boom! The Sun Elf once again slashed out, and a massive golden sword light containing terrifying power and a ferocious sword wind flew toward Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu hurriedly blocked with his sword, but he was still sent flying by the massive golden sword light. He heavily crashed 100 meters away and coughed up a large mouthful of blood. Ark! Zhao Fu looked furious as he gave a massive roar, and a terrifying power spread out. An enormous black aura flame appeared around his body, and he rushed into the sky with terrifying power, causing a ferocious black gale to spread out. A might that surpassed everything, one that reigned above emperors, and all creatures in the world had to submit spread out. The ground in the surroundings sank, and countless creatures felt terror from their bloodlines. The surroundings fell into a deathly silence. The countless people in the surroundings sensed this might that reigned above emperors, and they looked at Zhao Fu in shock. They felt incredibly nervous, and their bodies slightly trembled. It's a divine bloodline. Suddenly, a shocked and nervous voice sounded out. The surroundings were sent into an uproar. No one had expected that person to have the legendary divine bloodline. From that terrifying power, it was definitely not an ordinary divine bloodline. At that moment, whether it was the 9 geniuses or the major figures on the viewing platforms, they all looked slightly shocked. They understood why Zhao Fu had been wearing a cloak to hide his identity. It turned out that he had a divine bloodline. Before, Zhao Fu had been hiding his aura, so no one had discovered him. Now, Zhao Fu did not have to worry about anything and unleashed his divine bloodline's power. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu gripped the Emperor Killing Sword with both hands and pointed it downwards. Massive amounts of power continuously flowed into it, and the Emperor Killing Sword gave off traces of an incredibly terrifying aura that seemed to be able to destroy everything. Zhao Fu gripped the Emperor Killing Sword with both hands and vigorously stabbed it into the ground as he shouted, "Ghost Lord, world conquering!" Boom! A massive black aura flooded out from the ground, instantly covering hundreds of thousands of meters of ground. Black ghost soldiers wearing armor and holding all sorts of weapons appeared. There were simply too many of them to count, and they gave off a world-conquering aura. Within the underworld's secret realm, Zhao Fu had absorbed all of the ghost soldiers in a secret realm into the Ghost Lord's sword. This was the first time Zhao Fu had used it. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.